As we come to live here live at youtube.com, Ben Hamin and Hamin Media Group channels. You know where it's at. Post AEW Dynamite. It's time to tote them up, light them up. What? Birdman, what? Yeah, we're about here. What happened to that boy? He went from Sucio to Silvio, and now he's back to clap them big toys. And is it the producer of the year? We'll find out here on AEW Light the Fuse at Hamin Media Group. Yalla! Yes. We are back after a pretty damn big night at AEW last night. Excited to talk about all the action we saw. Some things sat with me not well at all. Other things were really impressive, to be honest with you. So I'm excited to hear what my cohorts have to say. Straight from the DC proper area. He's down there. Our man on the streets, MSG, as you can see, with the million mark march behind him. But right now it's El Sexico himself. What do we got here? A rose con pollo? No, a rose con Silvio today. That's right. Silvio and Rice, we're back in action, baby.
Last night's Dynamite was huge. And my God, what an episode we have. I was dancing to YMCA after it was over. It was so damn crazy out there. I have two guesses. I'm going to keep them in my little psychedelic pocket. But I have two guesses as to what it was that chapped your ass last night, because there were two things that got me. So I know if they got me, they definitely got you.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling I know what's up. But I'm here.
I didn't hate. They just confused me with that. I was like, okay. So we'll get to it. But yeah, dude, I'm glad to see you back. You're looking jacked today, not just because you got one of Jenna Van Muscle sports bras on, but the arms and shoulders are looking big, buddy.
Yeah, it's pink. You can get it at Victoria's Secret. It's their athletic line. No, I haven't even lifted today, and I'm another year older. I had a birthday over the weekend.
Shit off. I'm about to come in hard with that fucker.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for the birthday wishes. It was really nice of everyone, and I'm here, another year older, another year wiser, another year sexier.
Mm-hmm. 3 years to the 4-0, but we'll see how that goes. I know what that crossover is like. And even though he's not such a young boy anymore, he's an executive producer. You might have seen him today, or it's going to drop next week, actually, on Stevie or Christy Mana's podcast. Seeing if you want to have a big boy job, do you want to be an executive producer? Tune into the MSG show. I'm sure he's going to break it all down for you, man, over there. But MSG, good morning, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, I had a heck of a time with Mrs. Manna there. She was fun to do a podcast with, and I got to be a little bit more animated and be a little bit more loose, flex my character skills that I have on that podcast. So it was definitely a fun time. So definitely check that out. But ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. As you can see, Silvio, Ben, I've got thousands of people behind me. They're ready. They're ready, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. If you have to be watching this on Ben Hamin YouTube or on Hamin Media Group YouTube, because Twitch is still a bitch and they got us banned. But if you're watching live, you will see you are cordially invited to the inauguration ceremony today. Ladies and gentlemen, I have received my medal as your 2020 producer of the year. And at this time, wrapping it around my head, as soon as I take these headphones off.
Oh, well, before you do that, before you start feeling yourself, I've got actually new information coming in that
ceremony's complete. We're done. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to my ceremony. I got 60 seconds.
I don't know. Right now, the veterans are coming in right here, and they're saying what they want, which is, let's see if it'll catch. Producers Court case. Hamin voter fraud case 9/11. So
that's just a bunch of jealous people who don't work as hard as me. So come step up to my game. 2020 producer of the year. I'm done. Move on. Next topic.
We got 6 more days till it's official on the 20th with the inauguration. So now
this is the inauguration, Ben. No, I've been pumping this for a week. We didn't have any. We went through it. Rick got it cleared by the FBI. The votes came in. I beat you by 12 votes. You're not even the one contesting it. Other people are upset.
There may be some actual proof of voter fraud now. So in the
there is no voter fraud.
In the 4D chess game that they keep playing.
I am your champion.
I
I'm
don't
the
know.
producer of the year.
They're
Thank you
saying
very much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Silvio, how are you doing? Happy birthday to you, Silvio.
they're saying Silanon has new drops here. I'm not sure what is going to come out here on the Reddits and the Discords. So this may not be over yet.
It's over. It's game over.
Insurrection.
Silvio, happy birthday, sir. It was a pleasure to see you again. And of course, because of you, uncontested, we did win the 2020 AEW Wrestling Review Show of the Year. That is no question. So thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
And it was by a landslide. Mr. Chairman, the gentleman from Florida requests 30 seconds to brief the MSG.
Granted.
I will yield my ribbing. Go ahead.
If we are to not give this award to MSG, young Matthew here, we are setting a dangerous precedent for everybody in the future of Hamin Media Group and every American and frankly, every listener around the world. I vote unanimously, myself and my dog Monroe, that we do confirm MSG as this year's producer of the year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Duly noted. We'll put that in the record, but at this time, it looks like there is a filibuster from the representative from Smyrna, Georgia is holding up the campaign now, Stevie Richards himself. So, like I said, he says he's got bombshell evidence, and there's 6 days until this whole thing's over with. So, I mean, you can coronate yourself with all of the medals that you want to, but might be that much. I voted for you twice. I'm just playing by the.
No, I voted for you. I voted for you too. Just so you know.
I voted for you, but that medal might sting when you have to take it off.
I don't have to worry about that. I've seen the votes. There's no legal precipice has been held up in any court across this country. It's a bunch of individuals who are bitter, upset. And who, don't think that I deserve all for all my hard work.
Well, you've heard of wrestlers.
Go suck eggs.
You've heard of Wrestlers Court. They're calling for Producers Court. That's what they're calling it.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have time because I will be running patreon.com/TVRayTV tonight for the brand new face-to-face dangerous podcast hosted by 10-time champion and WWE Hall of Famer Stevie Ray as he brings on Sami Callihan taking on Eddie Edwards days before their hard to kill pay-per-view. So check that out tonight at twitch.tv/StevieRayTV and then exclusively podcast format. It will be available for Patreon subscribers.
I mean, do you remember the time that we did Wrestlers Court on DCW television?
Absolutely. We had Judge Reason as the judge. We had the Alaskan Assassin as the bailiff. Twinkle Toes, I believe, was
defense, maybe
defense, and I was the prosecution.
By the way, jokes on you, Joseph Cooker. If you think you're getting into the Hamin Media compound, I mean, you won't even get there.
Good luck. But that Wrestlers Court was a lot of fun, man. I can't remember everybody. I think Dre Blitz was a star witness in that. Maybe.
Yeah, myself and Paradise had to testify, unfortunately.
What was it over of? Kayfabe of not paying dues?
It was over Mason Rage tapping out to 160-pound man.
Rage tapping out. Mason Rage tapped out to Fang.
Electrical.
Electrical. Oh, wow. Wow, that takes me back, bro. I feel younger already off of that. Thank you, sir.
There you go. Starting hot.
Oh, great shit all the way around. Good stuff this morning. The Veteran Locker Room with Stevie Richards. Appreciate you guys if you're tuning back here at YouTube, Ben Hamin channel, Hamin Media Group channel. And last night, still, I'm not sure if you saw or were able to tune in at all. The Pat Miletich, obviously UFC Hall of Fame legend, was at the Capitol during all of the protest, riot, whatever you wanted to label it. But, man, he was an awesome, awesome guest last night. And people are asking, where's the show at? We drop them on Fridays, keeping it kayfabe. So we'll have all that dropping for you Friday morning early. I got to edit it tonight. And, man, it was a great guest to have.
I heard he was coming on, and that got me excited. Was that for Horseman or was that for Locker?
It was for Horseman, and Blake Troop hooked it up, man, last minute, kind of 30 hours beforehand, and stars aligned, and he was just awesome to lay out and listen to, bro. And, huge respect for what he's accomplished in the fight world, no doubt about that.
Oh, he was a hell of a fighter, man. I remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, like Pat was the man. I believe he light heavyweight or heavyweight?
Light heavyweight.
Yeah, he was the man.
170, 185. And, you know, it looks like you knock anybody out that he wants to on any given Sunday still. So with that Iowa farm boy corn strength, man, but a great guest there. And did not appreciate the triple flip off from Blake Troop, Jenna Van Muscles, and yourself. So there's a lot of heat going around in the locker room today. Lots of heat.
You know, it's been an emotional week for everyone. Sometimes I got to share my emotion.
Man, I like it. I like it when you heal out. But just great phone calls, man. And chats. Been checking in with a lot of friends and old heads. I talked to Santino Morella this week. Talked to Joey Mercury this week. Talked to Damian Sandow this week. Really good.
Sandow as well the other day.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You did? You talked to him? Mm-hmm. Hey, Sil. Yeah. Good to see you, buddy. But yeah, man, it's really got me flashing back where, you know, people go and do their own thing, but the best will always find each other. And here we are. And Hamin Media Group is doing big things. If it wasn't for MSG setting that Producer of the Year tempo and kicking off Stevie Ray TV brand this week to have these big opportunities ready to work with Impact, who knows where all this is going to go, man. So we're just in the trenches, really holding down the fort and working our asses off. And that's not just us three here. That's Big Ray working with Vito. That's RBV working with Two Man Power Trip. Stevie Richards working on Russo brand. Man Beast working with Rip right now, recording the Hustler Rip Rogers podcast, and then also developing that brand. Now, once we get all those rolling, everybody else is going to get another one on top of them. So I got stuff for Jargo. I got stuff for everybody coming on the pipe, man. And just to see everybody really handling it all and excited about the opportunities has got me pumped up and keeps me charged up from 7 in the morning to 11 at night when I fall down. So, but yeah, all my birthday love, Sil. I was glad to see that, buddy, and I hope you had a great one.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I did this wellness spa. I don't know if you've heard of these, but there's this thing called a salt room. Maddie, I think you would really dig it.
Dude, I've done one it's in Pennsylvania. I've seen the salt rooms. This is a salt cave that is natural, where they brought even more in, put it all over the floor. But man, when you walk out of there respiratory wise,
yeah,
amazed at like what sitting in a room filled with salt in the air will do to you. My brother for Christmas got wife number one and I massages at Sensations, and I went and had mine because I was just beat to shit by the end of the week. I didn't sleep for 5 days last week, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours each night. And this girl, she had some country strength to her, and that's why I picked her. She put it on me, dude, and I slept better. My digestion was better. My head was more clear, and all of the aches and pains that I had from lifting heavy and doing a lot of boxing were gone. So I think the main thing is, we want to say keep working out, eating healthy, do what you can to make your mind and body one, but also take some time to get that massage to really unwind, because you don't realize until after you have it how fucked up you really were when you thought you were normal. So, take a minute for that pampering. Absolutely, man. I'm glad.
Maintenance and self-care is extremely important, even if you're not an athlete, like just taking that time for yourself. I really dug the salt room. Just imagine if you've never been to one of these before, you set a big chair down on the beach. It's just like that, except for there's salt everywhere. And as the treatment continues, it kind of circulates around the room and it opens up your lungs, your nose. Then I did the dry float tank for the first time. I've done the wet float tank where it's kind of like the Dead Sea. I did a dry one where you don't get wet, obviously. It's kind of like laying on like a really cool version of a waterbed. It starts as a hard table. Then when they turn it on, this pocket of water fills up till it contours to your body. Both really good meditative states, but different. It was really good. And I had a nice meal with the family. Came home, did a little Friends with Benedicts thing with Jenna.
Good.
Lots of Benedicts, and good times were had by all.
Did the roof fall in on her? Well,
no, unfortunately not.
You don't want any weird moments with firemen, that from the past. But yeah, Allah, man. Let's run down the news. AEW, man, it's been a hot week. There was a Jim Cornette fan made a video to Fairy Tales in New York, very South Park-esque, a complete slam on Tony Khan buying his friends, and it was hilariously true. So it was a good piece. Not maybe not the the rib that Khan wanted, but at the same time, it made a lot of people laugh, man. And here's where we are with Cody saying that they had an A in their first year. I think when your champion leaves the title in a steakhouse the first night, you downgrade from an A right away. And then I can read you the laundry list of other infractions in the last 365 days. And then we can regrade a couple things. But what are you thinking? An A, Sil? A?
If we're going to compare it to other programming, especially other mainstream programming, I'd be okay with that A rating. If I were doing an independent review, it would be hard for me to give anyone or anything an A rating because, as you know, I always see ways to make something even more efficient, even more entertaining. So I could see that if you're basing it off of what else is on the airwaves. My personal grade wouldn't be too far off. I think that for a first year of a major company, I think they did a lot of good things. We saw some shitty things in between that we've discussed on the show. But they did very good. And think of other companies, man. TNA's first year, WCW's first year. Like considering the history, I think they did a pretty solid job. What do you think? I mean, what would your grade be?
C+. All
right.
Yeah, they I mean, there's just way too many from all three of your big celebrity things kind of falling short. Putting your wife in 5 different angles, getting a neck tattoo, a champagne match, taking your top heel and make him into a song and dance guy.
MJF or Jericho?
Sure. Taking the SJW transsexual movement and making that your MO, and now it's just out of the way and we're back to WCW nostalgia 1995. I mean, there's tons of infractions. I laid them out on the Monday Locker Room that if you were to take 2 points off for each of those, as any real teacher would, it will come out to about a 78 out of 100, 76 out of 100. And that's a C+. And that means there's places to improve, but that also means you shouldn't be coming out going, hey, of course he's going to have to put over his brand.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, let's be real about what the fuck we have and haven't done in the right times. So he don't give a shit. He's on a show with guys jumping tricycles off of a fucking ramp with Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? Like, no, you don't really care if it's an A, B, C, D, E, or F minus at the end of the day. But we've had some good moments and opportunities for guys to go places, but I think there's going to be a big culling of, like that song had, him hiring his friends or friends getting jobs, because you just can't keep all this dead weight on there that's not on TV and isn't up to the standard of being elite. That I have a problem with that word as it relates to some of their talent. They're not even, some of their talent aren't even adequate and borderline mediocre. So to call themselves elite lowers the level of those who strive for the best.
You are very focused on semantics. Maddie, I'd love to hear your grade. But first, I do got to say, you mentioned the tricycles off of ramps or whatever. Those motherfuckers got me. By the end of Dynamite last night, I'd seen that commercial so many damn times that I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking watch this show. So I hope it's good. I hate contest shows and reality shows. But
I watched a little of it after. It was decent. I mean, it's
exciting, right?
It's them like Snoop Dogg, weed joke, and he goes over the top. I haven't been this high. Bert Kreischer over tanned of selling it. And, it's everybody selling out to Hollywood who, when they're doing their stand-up or they're doing rap or they're doing wrestling, it's their real art. Now they're put together on this show, and everyone has to act like a Hollywood asshole fluffing each other. That part sucks.
Well, what about
when a guy fucking jumps a goddamn scooter and does a backflip and sticks her? That's undeniable. Like, I always want to see that. It's all the fucking ass kissing brother Hollywood stuff that leads up to it to put each other over that sucks. Yeah, and that's why I hate all those. Now make any musical theater show with America's Got Talent, Britain's Got This, Moms Watch This with Your Gay Son, whatever you want to fucking rename them. Like that's what. Yeah, well, I mean that's what all these shows are. If you're coming out and singing Les Mis and everyone's like, he is gonna make it, he is gonna make it. No, he's not gonna make it. He's not going to make it. He may be in an off-Broadway production, but that's just so you can say, see, we were right all the time about Steven. He is talented. Yeah.
All right, Maddie, let's hear it. What's your grade 2020 AEW?
Well, first off, I do want to say to talk about that Go Big show. It kind of reminds. It's just, I was watching the clip about the alligator thing, and I was watching Snoop Dogg right away. I was like, oh, they should just rename this show "Placing Rich People in Horrible Situations they don't feel comfortable with." It's really all it is. But yes, AEW B- was my grade. I thought that the brand had a couple different shortcomings there throughout the year, whether it be Brody Lee, Lance Archer, Mox,
Sean Spears,
Jericho, Sean Spears. So I thought there was a lot of things I did like. I did like the MJF stuff. I liked the Inner Circle stuff. I liked what they were doing with the Young Bucks throughout the year, kind of like will they, won't they. It was interesting. So, I mean, there was some stuff I liked. So I'd say there was a lot of room to grow. I think A is a huge stretch for a first-year company. I think that's just somebody over-evaluating themselves for PR purposes. I don't think Cody Rhodes really believes that. If he does, then like power to you, bro. I'm glad you believe in your product that well. I mean,
he don't believe that. Okay. Cody knows better, man. He knows a lot better than that. But he's got to say what he's got to say as an EVP. Why would you want to hurt your product? I told you,
of course.
But I would have not given a grade. I say I thought we had a great first year, and we have plenty of room to improve. You know what I mean? Like that's the answer you give. Not let me take a hard line and open myself up for people to start throwing fucking at me like that. When you do those kind of moves, it shows a lack of branding awareness, in my opinion.
It might have been interesting if he had, put it back to the fans more. Let's not grade this. That's something that's done by old school wrestling mentality. We're a continuing hot property that's on the rise, and one of the number one shows on TNT, and blah blah blah. Right? There could have been a way to avert that question, but then actually giving the grade itself, or even some sort of rating.
I agree, but that seemed to be the hot news early to kick the week off. What are we looking at numbers wise, buddy?
Yep, I got some AEW New Year's Smash results here for you as well. But to get into the nights, AEW ratings last 5 weeks. Last week's edition of AEW. Now, this was January 6th, of course, the night of the Capitol riots and the night of them certifying the election, which, again, I'm the winner. So 662,000 people had. However, NXT only garnered 641, so the wrestling itself was down for the night. That, of course, was coming off their December 30th edition, which had 977,000 views. Tonight's key competition, really all it was NXT, though. Their most viewed video last week, I took down some notes here, was the TNT Championship match weigh-in between Cage and Darby. That got 870,000 plus views. The least viewed video, which I thought was not the best, was the Gin and Juice segment with Private Party and Snoop Dogg. That only got 90,000 views. The average viewership of all their views.
I say the Snoop Roddy Rotten splash off the top on World Star was blowing up, dude. I was laughing my ass off on World Star going through the comments, man. Some people love it and other people just trash and Snoop, man. Makes that's my favorite thing is just World Star comments. Some of the best comedy writers are in World Star.
And old Silvio got so much shit from my co-host last week for putting over the Snoop splash and how funny and entertaining it was. Look at that.
No, it sucked.
Up on all
straw. What's funny is the World Star comments slamming Snoop. That shit's funny to me. Not.
I didn't say it was a good splash. I said it was a funny splash.
The average overall viewership for their video was 300,000, with their total viewership being 4 million. So this, of course, coming off of the big week where they had the Brody Lee tribute stuff on there. So still pretty high. Was able to maintain a pretty high viewership on YouTube there with 4 million views. So that was your number.
We're going from Brody Lee tribute 977,000 down to what, 620?
Yes.
So a 33%.
I mean, as well as Capitol Riot.
Yeah, that was against the whatever.
That was
happened.
all over, man. Everybody was talking about that night. That's all everybody was
you
watching.
You can't compare that one.
Oh, the Capitol riots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the night of the Capitol Riots last week.
I know I was glued to the news all fucking night.
Yeah. What was I doing last week? I don't remember. Stevie Ray stuff. Anyway, patreon.com/Stevie Ray TV. Or I was probably watching Conspiracy Horseman. You can watch that too. Twitch.tv/ or not Twitch. See, I got to get that in my hand. Fuck you, bitch.
No, right there. YouTube.com, Ben Hamin channel and Hamin Media Group tomorrow, 5 a.m. They'll be ready to rock and roll.
Also, don't forget to check out Stevie Ray TV YouTube. Go ahead.
Beautiful. On our news today, Maddie, do you have anything that's covering any COVID cases?
I do not. Would you like me to pull up something? I did not want to cover any hot news only because Ben does a lot of the headlines on Friday Locker Room.
Gotcha. Well, this isn't necessarily hot. It's been out there. It's Nick Jackson's been talking about his recovery from COVID-19 that evidently he got over the fall, somewhere around September, I believe.
Jericho too. Jericho put it over.
And how
that was a big thing that came out last night. That Chris Jericho, that it was found out that Chris Jericho had COVID all of September and he worked the whole time.
Jesus Christ. And Nick evidently was bedridden for 3 weeks and then couldn't really do much. He had that one match before the big FTR match, and his brother had to carry the load in that one match. So that kind of explains a little bit of the weirdness we saw with the Bucks. Remember when I was just blowing a gasket when they super kicked Shivani and Marvez? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. Evidently, a lot of that stuff was due to Nick not being able to go because his fucking lungs weren't functioning. And that phantom super kick, remember the one where they had like the prop leg? Like it was clearly Matt Jackson and someone else's foot. That was all around the same.
But I got to time out you here, Sil. Aren't we like, isn't this after the fact of the wink wink? Is they're again opening themselves up to be hammered because if Jericho, they're supposed to be testing all the time at the day before. And then these guys are COVID positive, but we're learning about it 3 months later, though. So that means their test came back positive. Khan pulled them aside and said, "Do you want to work?" "Yeah, I'll work, dude. I don't give a fuck. I feel fine." "Okay, then just keep it kayfabe, and we won't." And then it leaks out here later, thinking they're going to be fine with that information coming out 4 months later. But it goes to show you that, yeah, they might be COVID testing, but they're also covering it up so they can have their creative going forward and risking the rest of their performers' health when they claim to be the SJW organization that is supposed to be all against anything of opening up the right wing side. So again, do as I say, not as I do. And how do they do? Keep it kayfabe, push him through the curtain, and maybe he has non-symptom COVID, but then one of the Bucks gets it. And I remember Matt looked like he was fucking about ready to shit his pants and have 105 fever in the ring that night. All clammy and shit. So where are we going with opening ourselves up to lawsuits? Now you're talking about fucking a hostile and dangerous work environment lawsuit where they got COVID tested and didn't abide by the regulations and put everybody else in jeopardy. Now you sue. Now you're going to let somebody go off the roster who is just taking up a spot and extra money. What do you think they're going to do with sour grapes and start stooging shit off? And even more stuff about Brody, unfortunately.
See, this is where things can become a little bit problematic, though. But
that's what I was going to say.
Before we make a statement like that, we need to be able to see all of the facts. What was he doing? Because they were taping some stuff in blocks. So did Jericho have the appropriate amount of time, whatever that 10 or 14 days was, to be away from them before returning? I'd like to think he did. I do know they test. I know they do questionnaires, and I know several talent that got sent home and said, you can't come back till this is done. So it doesn't make sense to me that they would do that with Jericho unless it was him being quarantined.
Well, it makes sense in the fact of our creative and my vision is more important than the lower mid card. I had you figured in here, so we'll keep it kayfabe. And isn't that really how wrestling works instead of the other awake and aware way?
It could be, but that's not undisputed fact.
I know it's hypothetical completely. Hear me I don't have any Stooge report, but you follow the trail. And if he knew in September and he wasn't off TV, then there's nothing you're going to justify to me about, well, maybe they did this, and this. If they lied to us and didn't put that over and they're telling us now thinking they're safe, I have 0% trust they did the right thing back while it was going on. Forgive me.
We just would have to review that time period and see what the fuck they were doing. Was that when they were doing that Inner Circle Brady Bunch kind of thing? I can't remember what they called
that
it.
Orange Cassidy Mimosa fucking match from hell.
Yep, Mimosa match.
The tainted mimosas did this.
It's true, and I like mimosas. So
I think Mimosa's going to be big in the women's division. She's fucking got a lot of talent, and I think she could take this title.
Before we get into the full AEW recap, Ben, I did not watch Impact, and I was in the middle of reviewing and doing Stevie Ray stuff yesterday, so I did not get to watch Impact Attack yet. Break us down. What's the Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone update this week?
Khan, you can feel Cyrus all through this, where they're building the Team Khan versus Team Cyrus, because they're both going into business for themselves, and the way Khan's talking is absolutely Cyrus 101 coaching him through it. So Khan is on TV in another pair of 2021 glasses a week after New Year's. So even more socially awkward, doesn't get it. Okay. He cut a decent little promo, but now he's almost ribbing himself with pushing his arms out the whole fucking time. So what was an awkward / autism tick is now his fucking gimmick, which is fine. And that was okay. There was a scene with Good Brothers and Omega and Callis in the trailer again, and they're just talking, they drank our busier and all this kind of shit. You're like, all right. But then in the main event, it comes down to Machine Gun versus Richard Swann, and they had a good match. And I liked that Machine Gun was grabbing a lot of holds, working hard, making it look like a contest. And they had picture-in-picture with the Motor City Machine Guns watching from their dressing room, and then big Luke Gallows watching from his with Omega. And then they did the run-in the end and did the big fight to billboard of where they were going. I would have rather, if they had Swan go over with a roll-up, which was brutally bad. They should have just beat the shit out of Swan. Then locker room should have cleared, and heels got there first, beating the shit out of them until Motor City Machine Guns can come for the rescue. And even then, I would have left Motor City Machine Guns laying, because heels need heat going into a pay-per-view, not 50-50 get back. So there was good and bad in it. But, I just don't think it's a good look, especially with Schiavone. He did this twice on air, where they're like, the Impact's got some pay-per-view. We're already dead or something like that, as a rib. If you're working with a company and you're going to beat them and you're not going to put them over, that means you're beating somebody who's a piece of shit, and why even fight them? You know what I mean? You have to make your opponent beforehand, not just talk them down and make them look less than, because then what are you except a bully to come in and beat the shit out of somebody you want to work with? So you hate them, but you're working with them, so that makes you look stupid? No. You have to make your opponent a credible threat. And if they invade, we'll be ready for them. That's what you have to raise the stakes to, not trying to shut them down to get a fucking waka rib because Tony Khan's in your ear and he wants that on fucking camera.
Well, there you go, guys. If you want more of an in-depth Impact Wrestling breakdown, check out the Impact Attack, which is actually available right now at hackerarmy.podbean.com. Host there with Big Ray Hernandez.
In the house right now, Big Ray. Shout out.
Big Raymond.
Yeah, man. Big Ray developing Vito brand, working hard there like Matt is with Stevie Ray TV, man. All the Hamin Media Group producers just really, I'm blown away. It's been the biggest 2 weeks of NHMG business history, and everybody has stepped up their game to a level I couldn't imagine. So thank you to everybody who's put in those hours this week. It's been awesome, and I've had 5 phone calls already today for new opportunities. So don't think you fuckers are out of the woods yet. We got a lot of work to do in 2021, and hopefully can make some fucking paper off of it together.
Oh yeah. Hey, did you know Vito lives down the street from Jenna's parents?
No, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, they're neighbors. Her dad and Vito have like worked out together in like the little community gym and stuff.
Cool. Vito looking good, man. He's putting in a lot of hours. I mean, he looks like he walk right back on camera right now, and he'd be, A+ top performer. So excited to help develop that brand, especially as big of a mob fanatic as I am. And I think with the announcement of the Sopranos movie coming out September 2021, we're going to be hitting it right at the right time to have Vito's brand built, have good 5-6 months of content, and then I don't give a shit if it's Subway commercials or whatever the frig. Everybody's going to be back into mob fanaticism, and Vito will be placed in the perfect spot to walk on in central casting, whether you want him in a car commercial or whatever it is, dude. I think Vito brand, there's a lot of exciting. So, and with Noelle too, she's a phenomenal producer and a great personality as well. So excited to see all these contents coming out from individual brands as we help build them out, man. A lot of opportunity.
Who's playing Tony in this?
It's not. It's prequel. It's
okay, cool.
So actually no, I lied. Tony James Gandolfini's son is playing Tony Soprano as a teenager. It's mainly about Christopher Moltisanti, Dickie Moltisanti, his father. It's going to be more his story and during the riots in the 60s in Jersey and whatnot. So
who's the boss? Was Junior the boss, or is Tony's dad the boss?
Tony's dad's the boss. I think they got the same guy to play that plays it that way. So the Saints of Newark is what it's called. And dude, I heard the screen. They randomly screened it last week for people who weren't even fans, and I guess people were going nuts for it. So I thought we were going to get it this spring, but to be honest with you, people are hot that we got to wait till September. I'm thinking a big Vito brand going, that'll give us enough time. That'll give us just about the perfect amount of time, man. So excited for Big Ray. Those two New York guys are going to do it real big. I got no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, guys. So go ahead and check out, like we mentioned, Impact Tack, Big Ray Hernandez, Ben Hamin, and go check out the Big Vito brand. Start supporting there. As well as don't forget to check out RussoBrand.com for your Raw and SmackDown review with Jesus Christ himself, Stevie Christ.
He's back.
And Vince Russo, and as well as he was back last night on the Conspiracy Horseman. So don't forget to download that as well on hackerhamming.podbean.com and on russobrand.com. You can get the Conspiracy Horseman there too. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, thebrosters.com. Pick up your bag of Russo Bro coffee. Russo Bro coffee. Still, Big Ray wants to know what you're drinking on.
Protein shake and Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. So if you don't want to look as good as Silvio, if you can't look as good as, I guess, then you order the coffee. But if you can, then hit him up on Superstar Chris Silvio, and I'm sure he'd be able to guide you into getting into the best shape of your life.
I got you.
But he's got you. And also don't forget to check out ZordosOliveOil.com. Pick up your bottle of the finest Greek artisan olive oil. Use it for any type of cooking. I mean, you can use it to make waffles. It sounds weird, but you can put it in your waffle iron.
Yeah, man. It'll slide right out there, put it in your beard, get her nice and sheened right up, man. High quality artisanal Greek olive oil, ultra premium grade. That's not just a tagline. It actually has been graded in labs, 98th percentile of the highest quality.
Scientists and doctors and shit were like doing little droplets.
Savina olive oil paid big money for that shit. But y'all, man, see the chat room 16 strong here with our usual heads, including Big Ray, Greg Mosier in the house, Roger Dowie. He was in the house last night for Conspiracy Horseman. Unrealistic Cliff Burton, sometimes. Sonic the Hedge Rat, Jinder Mahal is in here. Joseph Coker having a good time. Born a Metal, getting lumped up with Rob Rossi, Al Robinson, Scott Woodford, and the Butcher himself is back. It was here this morning as well. So thanks, guys, for tuning in on YouTube as we keep trying to attack the digital front that's ever changing in the censorship brand as we live in this fucking upside down world of double standards and people who claim they want peace doing the exact Nazi things that they point fingers at and tell people they're Nazis for. So that's where we are, man, with our censorship and not even being able to honor our fallen brothers in wrestling, phony ass wrestling. It still comes down to the greed of Sony and Amazon with digital copyright acts and all that bullshit. But we'll stay ever changing, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, infidels. It's the Ben Hamin, MSG, and Chris Silvio. Let's get to the show, boys.
You got it, guys. Well, before we get into that here, I do actually have an email from our.
Whoa, yeah. Sure.
I do have an email from our legendary fan here, Marky Mark, cousin Mark. If you'd like to send an email and have it read, have your thoughts read into Ben, Hamin, and Chris Silvio, send it to likethefusehmg@gmail.com, as well as the brand new gimmick. If you want me to sing something ridiculous that involves wrestling lyrics, it's a song, send it to likethefusehmg@gmail.com, and I will sing it on air for you. All right, so here's what cousin Marky Mark says. This is what he says. Hello, congratulations to the award-winning AEW review show with the winningest producer in all of Hamin Media. Thank you. He says, I've been watching a lot of AEW Dark recently, and it's been surprisingly good, especially the Dr. Britt Baker talk show segments. Yesterday's Dark kicked off with Jungle Boy debuting his new theme song that Tony Khan was nice enough to buy the rights for him, which we saw tonight on Dynamite. Jungle Boy didn't seem to be excited, though, when he came out, which is understandable, as they filmed it last week after the Brody tribute. Marco Stunt, however, was a dancing machine for it, and even Taz was singing along. There was a segment with -1 berating Marco, so we actually talked about this for being short in the whole Dark Order, with -1 who came out to support number 5 for the main event, where the Dark Order completed their clean sweep in winning all of the tribute matches for Brody. A recent report came out that sometimes the Dark tapings go till 2 a.m. after Dynamite. You can tell the matches go late in the evening as there's less crowd and less noise as the show goes on. What are your thoughts of the late night filming of Dark? Most matches are established stars versus indie workers, with only a handful of matches that mean something related to Dark storylines. The last thing was, he says, I know it's a great platform to show off new talents, especially hot prospects, pun intended, like Genocide. But having guys like Lee Johnson lose dozens of matches in a row seems pointless. Although Will Hobbs was able to break out of his funk on Dark and become a main event monster mainstay, perhaps more toned down show with tighter focus on certain talents would be more beneficial to Dark and for everyone. Thanks for your insight, cousin Marky Mark. So the question was, what are your thoughts on the late night filming of Dark, Silvio?
Well, most television tapings are a long, boring affair. I've been to many for many different companies, and it's something like you show up at 2 and best case scenario, you're out at 10 or 11.
Hurry up and
you might have one match. I remember some of the Ring of Honor tapings back in the day, we'd film 4 TVs. So you might have a match on each TV, or you might have a match on week 1 and week 3. The rest of the time you're there chilling. I remember getting out of there very, very late, well after midnight, and I probably would arrive around noon. I can verify some of these Darks are going very late. I know Jenna stepped in the ring about 1 a.m. or 1:30. I believe Seidel might hold the record for the latest one, somewhere around the 2:30 mark. I'm not sure why they're spacing it that way. They got a lot to film. I can't give you an answer as to why they're letting it go that late, because I'm sure even the production crew would rather not be filming at 2:30 a.m. I can only equate it to maybe they're still tinkering with the formula to try to get it right.
And to Ben, we'll follow up with his question. Do you think that Dark should become more of a toned down version, tighter focus on certain talents, and that might be more beneficial to Dark storylines?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're not going to cut guys who you aren't going to use on your main TV, then you have to take your core audience who are only watching Dark and who are watching Dark and Dynamite, and condition them there. That's where you can get over. Like I used to be into wrestlers who weren't your top guys, who your massive guys. I like to see an Alex Reich match. I liked Dean Malenko and Jericho more than anything else. Yeah, absolutely. Those are the time to get those guys to shine and make them look like stars, because they can work. It's just you can't bring in a big name star to give them a shine and leave them laying and shit thump them to get the big star back over to go to TV and then not do any real business. So a place where like that is where you're going to get an Angelico and a Jack Evans and those guys got to show and prove there, so they can get to a level of like, we want to see those guys versus the Bucks. But meanwhile, the Bucks has been taking on FTR and whoever else, you know what I mean? So that needs to be the building ground, absolutely, to get your audience conditioned to really demand them to come up to the main roster.
Great insight there, guys.
Somebody in the chat just posted something about the indie wrestlers around the ringside singing Judas. So the deal with that, dude, is Tony Khan decided, there it is, Roger. Tony Khan decided that when the pandemic happened, he would try to have the boys around the ringside and the girls, heels on one side, baby faces on the other, to act as the audience. And we saw that based on WWE doing that silent show for months, clearly the AEW formula looked better. So they're being instructed to go out there and act as you would if you were an audience member. So that's why you see them playing along so well, cheering the baby faces, booing the heels, singing along to Jericho stuff too. Yes, there are some fans in attendance now at Dali's place, but they're all the way up there, and we can't have the camera panned on them the whole time. You know, when the action is happening in the ring or spills out to the floor, all you see are the people at ringside. So they're instructed to act like they would if they were a spectator, whether that includes singing Judas. I don't know, but I assume if I was a fan at AEW, I'd probably sing Judas. So
two years ago, most of them were fans in the fucking crowd, and they were singing. And that's the issue that we're trying to get to here.
Hey, what did Rip do with us when the house was light at DCW?
Oh yeah, we'd be out there. We'd be out there absolutely to fill it in, and I would make the same call of get everybody out there, get them around the ring, and if we need energy where these other shows are dead silent, even if it comes off as like, all right, hit them with the taser so they sing Judas, like so be it at this point, because it's about crowd energy. That's what really wrestling is about. If you can have guys doing whatever you want to in the ring, if you're not getting anything back from the crowd and the people at home aren't living vicariously through those people's reactions, well, then we're fucked. Is it a mark thing for Jericho because he's over and it's jumped the shark? Absolutely. Does it look corny? Absolutely now. But was it a cool and organic thing when the crowds were there? Yeah, it was. So all they're trying to do is keep a little bit of the humanity in there. And even if that's at the fact of Paul Heyman plant level, because Heyman used to do that all the time in OVW and ECW to get things going, so be it. It's better than silence, I guess, at this point. But the Judas in my mind thing, okay, we can move on from that. If I was Jericho, I would even be cool and be like, you guys, let's not, or get people to put it on, and you have to have somebody heel and shut it down right away. Like,
or Jericho just puts a different song of his, just throw on a different song you have, and then no one knows the words to it, and no one will sing along. I mean, and you're still getting over Fozzy, right? I mean, you could do that.
It could be, yeah. Or you have somebody do a Weird Al version of it, Nudist in My Mind or whatever, and it's they put on a fat.
There we go. Listeners, like the fuse at gmail.com. Maddie will sing it. Weird Al up Judas.
Yeah.
If it's good enough, I'll give Maddie backing vocals, and Hamin can play the tambourine or the bongos.
Nudist in,
nudist
in my mind. Yeah, pal. Take my pants.
I be coming.
I'm coming. Yeah. I like that. I want to sing that.
Nudist in my mind.
There are naked people all around. So yes, light the fuse.
Pull my pants down.
See, you already won the
fun. No. All right, let's jump the shark already.
Lather up. Light the fuse HMG at gmail.com. Send over your hilarious emails, and you too can maybe be the number one AEW review show fan. That is Cause the Marky Mark. Dethrone him. Take it over. It's 2021. Step up. Anyway, let's go, guys. The AEW review show tonight started off with, I thought, a pretty good package, kind of hyping the match itself. And I thought that it was something a little bit different. AEW doesn't always do. So I like that they hyped up the kind of the backstory between the Bastard, Pac, and Eddie Kingston. And after we got that package, then we went into Daly's place. Fire explodes, pyro, all that. Jim Ross, welcome, goddamn, welcome. So after the package, the vignette wraps up. We get Justin Roberts. He does his introductions. They all come out. They do their match. Yada, yada, yada. So anyway, match goes back and forth here. Surprisingly, Pac picks up the victory. I was expecting Eddie Kingston to get the victory here today, maybe by a schmoz. But it wrapped up with him drop kicking Kingston in the face. He landed on all fours, dragged him to the corner, and he headed to the top rope, and then he went he did the black arrow, and then he got the victory. 1, 2, 3. So he used his baby face finisher here as well. Pick up the victory. Winner of your match, the Bastard Pac. Silvio, break it down for us. What did you like in this match?
I really enjoyed this match. It was very snug. Both guys were knocking the shit out of each other. It was a different kind of match, and AW usually opens with the more fast-paced, I don't want to say choreographed, but it's a lot of times it's a tag match with a lot of high spots and moving parts. And this had some high spots, but really it was just two guys laying it into each other and selling. I'm watching with Jenna, and at one point they were both down, and she's like, wow, look at two people in 2020 just laying down selling. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It was a damn good match. That superplex looked a little rough on Eddie. I don't know how he landed, but you could tell something was up. He was selling his neck and shoulder. I was assuming it was to put over Pac's finish, which he held briefly until it got broken up, in a little schmoz. So I don't know if Eddie was having some issues or was just doing a masterful job of selling, but I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I think he's on the arthritis train like me in the shoulder and was feeling it. And that's fine. Sell it if it fucking hurts, because it's going to be a real sell. It's not going to be phony. I liked the recap on this too, to set it up, coming off of where they tried to do business and then they kind of had to go away from it for Brody's memorial. So this was a good way to set story up in the beginning instead of a choreographed Cirque du Soleil, get every fucking thing we can in the opener match. That's why I liked it. I like Eddie because he's an unathletic son of a bitch who can talk well, and I can relate to that. And when he is out there fighting, it's ugly, and so are a lot of mine. So I enjoy watching him, and Pac is next level athlete. Just unbelievable. Yeah, I'm sure you wish he had a little more size, but even as a small guy, he's just so jacked that you can't take your eyes off him in the way he moves. So this was a good opener. I didn't have a problem with any of this.
As a point of reference, guys, just so you know, here in Florida, it's been pretty damn cold the last few weeks by our standards. I know Hamin doesn't mean shit to you, but it's been in the 30s at nights or low 40s. So imagine taking a superplex in the 30s. It can't fucking feel good. Taking a chop feels terrible. So that could also have something to do with whatever was happening in that match.
I will say, though, because something I pointed out, I was watching AEW with a buddy of mine, and we both noticed that we were like, dang, Eddie's working hard because he is sweating. It was like 5-6 minutes in. He was drenched. So, hopefully the weather was good out there because he was hot. He looked hot.
Yeah, it was cold.
It takes less than 2 minutes, especially if you're an unathletic bastard like me, to bust a sweat and be like, it's not about the intensity of the work that you're doing. It's everything combined: the lights, the crowd, the performance, the anxiety, the fear, all that in that moment. And dude, you just start getting in that zone, and it's like you've been working out for 45 minutes. In 2 minutes, you can do that. So
right. Interesting.
Hey, do you guys think this was Eddie's best showing? I think this was the best match I've seen from him in AEW so far.
Yeah, best match, but I like character stuff better. But
his promos are obviously
no, you're right. This is the best. This is the best he's done.
I would agree. After the match, all hell breaks loose. As soon as he scores the pin, Pac rolls, locks in the arm submission finish on Kingston. And then members of the Death Triangle and Eddie and Kingston's family hit the ring. Nothing really happens, though, as the Murder Hawk comes out with Jake the Snake Roberts kind of running behind them. Then he gets in the ring, which clears out Eddie Kingston and his family, gets in Pac's face and tells him to get his things in order, and then he walks off. Which was weird because I had said this.
See how this show ends up, Sil. Got some Lickermans.
It's coming to Ontario soon, I think.
Is it? I want to get some. Sorry, MSG.
I literally went to the page, so I had no idea what you were doing. Like I was on another tab and I was looking at my notes.
We're starting thinking, fuck it.
Yeah, why not? Sure. So there you go. After the match, Lance Archer comes out. Apparently, he didn't cut his hair, or he's wearing a weave, but we don't know. Maybe he got some new fresh locks. I don't know. I saw on his Twitter he cut his hair. That's what he posted. So a little weird. Yeah. Other than that, it's good.
Why would you do that though with no payoff? To
get the audience going, what's he going to look like? And then you show up and he doesn't really look different.
In wrestling, bro, if I'm going under, this is coming off in the match. Or if it's a heater and it's a good looking baby face who I want to get on, I'm going to fucking hold him down and shave his head. Now, Murder Hawk's a big motherfucker, so who's going to get heat on him? And he's a heel, so just cutting his hair, I can see it. But missed opportunity in wrestling, bro.
That is exactly what I said in our private chat. I was like, why didn't they do hair versus hair match?
Yeah.
John Studd and Bundy held down Andre and cut his hair. That's when we got the short hair Andre the Giant. So
that's right.
That shit, man. It could have been the big men fucking and then he can go on a murderous rage afterwards. Instead, he just went to Supercuts and got a good deal.
I'm very surprised, that of all the issues with the back end of this segment, that the haircut was what you were concerning. This was one of the points of the shows that did perplex me a little. As you guys know, I try not to, I don't really want to be a fucking wrestling critic. I'll share my opinion, but I want to be productive. I don't know why they had Archer do that, because it was of no consequence. He came in and I believe he said to Death Triangle to get on the same page. I didn't see anything that would indicate that they were not on the same page, and the people just ran away. Archer did nothing physical. Jake did nothing physical. Like right now, all Archer needs to do is run through people and eat them alive. What we saw in the Brody tribute show, that is perfect Archer. That's an impressive motherfucker. Just boom, 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 running through. So I'm not quite sure why we got that last night.
I thought it might inspire Archer to become a Brody level ass kicker, right? And when he channels Brody from the Indies, he looks more devastating than he ever has. And then this week we're back to like marginalized. I don't really know what I mean. How did they bring him in? Remember those first vignettes where he's in the fucking yarder thing where 17 yarders tack him and he fucking lays them all out? Why aren't we having that in the ring? But I guess the answer could be, Hamin, Silvio, didn't you watch Being the Elite where they laid all this out and fucking there's a 15-week storyline for Archer? No, we didn't watch that. We didn't.
Well, Ben, if you had watched Being the Elite, you would have seen that Jake the Snake is now apparently part of the Dark Order because he's now playing with the Kool-Aid guys there.
Great.
They took
if there's ever anything in the show now on the main show where I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? I instantly go, they must have done 7 weeks on Being the Elite that nobody watched and we're supposed to know.
So look out for that. If Jake the Snake and Lance Archer end up in the Dark Order the next 2 months, it started because of what was it? Pride and Powerful took the Spanish announcer guy to Jake the Snake to try and deprogram him, and then he stumbles out of the trailer, and now Jake the Snake's holding the bottle of purple Kool-Aid, and he's like, I kind of like that guy. And they're all like, oh, now Jake the Snake, he's going to be part of the Dark Order. So
there's an old hard and fast rule in wrestling that says baby faces never complain. And like you never come out and say, give an excuse for losing or he cheated. Like it just sounds whiny. Right. Archer's now in that babyface role. So to me, kind of that line of like just coming out to say, get on the same page. That kind of came across a little complaining. I just want to see Archer kick people's ass.
The problem is he missed the sight gag. It should have been get on the same page, pull out the Brody papers, hit him in the fucking face.
Sure, at least I'm all right with that.
That's the get on the same page, walk, put them, you know what I mean? Like, we miss the jokes, but I don't expect, somebody on the spectrum to be able to hit these points.
Well, moving on after that, we've got Chuck Taylor being accompanied by Orange Cassidy, taking on the best man Miro versus Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Now, I would say kind of going into this match, I think we all probably kind of knew what the outcome was going to be because, of course, Trent's out. You got to have something to do with Chuck. And it makes more sense from a storyline standpoint to have Chuck now aligned with Miro. Well, there you go, guys. As Chuck tapped out to the submission finisher by Miro. And now Chuck is now Miro's butler, a.k.a. his young boy, until Penelope and Kip Sabian get married. Silvio, what did you think of this match?
I like the fact that it ended abruptly. Like when I saw him kick the back, I go, that's it? They were going to fucking go home? All right, that's kind of cool. We didn't get a long, drawn-out thing. I do have to be a little critical here, though. Chuck last night, he wrestled the match. The match was fine. Chuck did not show me anything that matched the stakes of this match. He didn't seem to be working like a guy whose life or career was on the line. He was working like Chuck does on a regular Wednesday night. Like you would think that you would really, even if you're Orange Cassidy, you'd think you would really care about the outcome of this match. Like the last thing he wants to do is be Miro's young boy. And Chuck didn't show that. He didn't really give us any kind of fire. I don't know if he was boo-boo face about the angle or if he wasn't feeling it. I don't know what it was because he's a great wrestler, but I wanted to see some fire. Like Chuck should have been swinging for the fences. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he did and I missed it. But did you guys see any of that?
No, it was a regular match without the stakes of like, oh shit, if I lose this, I'm fucked. And, I thought Miro, I think this was his best showing since he's been in AEW.
Great.
The gear looked like something a badass would wear, not some fucking Versace half queer pink stuff that doesn't fit a legit killer that this guy is. He comes out in camo, looks like a Muay Thai fighter. Even made Chuck look strong when he's jumping up and Chuck's bipping him off, like in that. But I like that Chuck lost. I like how fast the camel clutch came on there because we've been going way too long in these matches for egregious spots. This was right time, right spot, but the stakes weren't there. So you're right of like the aftershock afterwards, like, you're mine, you're my boy. And he's like, oh, fuck, what have I got into? And then over to Orange Cassidy and just like anything along those. We didn't get the small games of the power play that is really the upper stakes of this, So the match itself, it was just a cold match, would have been pretty damn good. And I liked that Miro looked like a badass motherfucker for once, man, after 2 years of being cocked and whatever the fuck they did in WWE with him.
So do you see them either now separating Orange Cassidy, letting him go off and do his own thing, or is Orange Cassidy, by Tony Khan standards, going to be Mario, and he has to save the princess now?
To me, it's to turn Chuck heel, and I hope Miro really does take him under his wing for 30 days and makes him work his ass off and work out, and Chuck comes back in the best shape we've seen him. You know what I mean? And he's vicious and he's bad as fuck. And like they think the 30 days is up and he's just gonna go with them, but Chuck wants to stay with Miro. Then they got to try and pull him out of that. You know what I mean? As opposed to the whole time. I think there's way more in the next 4 weeks of showing Chuck doing the dirty deeds. But then in week 2, are we going to get the little twist where Miro starts endearing them to him and we see Chuck being part of the program? I'm not sure on that. If they really wanted to fuck around, I would do something at home with Miro and I'd have Lana in the background.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Like, if you want to fuck with them, like if you're going to start turning the Russo screws to them, they're going to do all that shit to fucking Lana. Then they're going to put her over by standing on the fucking steps and not doing anything. And she wins the match as a rib. And then they take her off TV after their rib's completed. Well, now it's time for our rib. And I'm going to put my wife in what are you going to do? Fire her? They're going to put her back on TV and have snacks putting her through a table again. How's that going to look for WWE if they came back and did that, bro, after they have the chance to do this kind of stuff? So I say AEW, they can do all the terrorist things that they want. WWE has to play by the rules. So let's fucking incite some terrorism on them, bro.
Just fucking do it.
Even mentioning her name, like, hey, and now you're going to go get CJ's dry cleaning.
Yeah.
I think that's a small start. With this too, like Orange Cassidy's.
I just got to get this out of my head. You can do small things like where instead of Lana, he's like CJ, and she walks into the scene, sees the camera, and goes, "Oops," and just walks out like that. It that fast. That her just being on that enough is such a fuck you. How dare you to WWE? Bro, Khan would, like, the second she got fired, she's hired in AEW for making that move.
They could blur the face out too.
Say again? They
could blur the face out too.
I wouldn't. I'd dude, fire the shot, bro. Why pussyfoot around it at this day and age, man? Wrestling's at its lowest point number wise. Hit them with the stiff shots all day long.
Going back to the emotional tone of this and Orange, this would have been the perfect juxtaposition of Orange Cassidy's persona to where you expect him to see him lose, Chuck lose, and Orange go, This could have been the time where the camera's on Orange and he's doing this, and then you just see the face drop and Orange is going, oh, fuck. Yeah. Now we can see some emotion from him. I think what's happening a lot with a lot of wrestlers we're touching so much on trying to have these good matches, trying to be indie-rific in some ways, and get the pops and the "this is awesome" kind of chant philosophy, as opposed to really honing in on the story and asking yourself, what does my emotional state need to be like in this to sell the angle? And I think that's the point a lot of guys are missing all across the board.
I mean, this is a heel thing to do, but do you think character-wise this would have worked if we had him in the clutch and Chuck starts trying to work to the ropes to get there, and Orange is there, and Orange even puts his hand up on the rope to like half press it forward, like, in the yeah, it doesn't even make a difference, right? But then all of a sudden, Orange very slowly gets a text, and Chuck's getting close to the rope, and Orange is like one key at a time, really slow. And instead of doing that, and it's just enough, and he looks up at Chuck and goes, just 1 second. He goes back to his text, and that's enough for Chuck to tap out, because we're playing Orange's slacker thing. We're doing the fucking technology addiction of the millennials, that it even costs his boy there. Then Chuck would actually have heat with Orange not helping him out, but Orange is just being the normal slacker that he is, and there really isn't any malice towards Chuck. It's just playing out his game. What do you think about that, Sil?
It's on the comedy end, but I like it. I just wanted to see some kind of emotion. It's an emotional situation, and we got to be able to translate that on screen. Like, this should have been a tearjerker moment when Chuck, the beloved best friend guy, loses and has to become this asshole's manservant. He should have been emotional about it. So he's good enough to do it.
I think that could also be funny scenes. I saw Roger Dyer say, show Lana and Penelope poolside in the background. What if there isn't a lot of heat there and it's just Chuck as the young boy, and you see Penelope, Lana, and then Orange is there too, sunning himself with the girls in the back, and Chuck's got to bring him a drink too. And he's just along for the ride. He's not a dickhead. He's just along for the fucking ride. And no matter what, it doesn't shake him. I think there's a lot of little fun tweaks we could play with character in there.
Chuck should start kind of liking Rusev's house after a while. Like he's resistant to it, but Rusev has cool games. Like, he's rich. He's got some furniture. He's got a hot wife. So after a while, Chuck's kind of like, this isn't too bad.
Play it all up. All of a sudden, like Miro puts he's going to be on Twitch or whatever. You don't have Miro on there. It's fucking Orange Cassidy went in and fired up Miro's shit, and he's on Miro's shit, and people are going nuts that Orange is on Miro's stuff, but he doesn't know that. And then Miro comes in, what are you doing? What are you doing in my video game room? Like all that shit. And then he hits the off button, and the fucking internet goes nuts. It's the small, real things, I think, in this that we could play out using third-party platforms. A lot of fun stuff that could be real interesting.
You have Chuck actually giving like beverages to Kip, and Orange is there hanging out playing video games. Orange is hanging out with everybody, right? So
you could have. This is a good one too. Medium 5 says, once Chuck sees titties, he says, "I'm in." I like that, but wrong. You have Chuck fucking outdoing all of the Silvio lawn work, that Sil loves to do and whatnot. And Lana's around the house. She's in the shower and she needs the towel, and she calls for Chuck for the towel, but he's not there. He's out doing lawn work. And Orange Cassidy just happens to be there. Lana gets out, gets to see her gimmicks. She freaks out that Orange is in the bathroom with her, hiding in the closet or whatever, like he always is or something. All of these games we could play out with Orange Cassidy getting to fucking be the comedy while Chuck gets shit on by Miro.
Chuck's got to be the waiter at the wedding too. He's got to work the wedding.
That'd be great.
Well, after that, I guess you say after Chuck became the young boy, and basically like Miro took him up to the top of the ramp and was holding him, right, and kind of just pulling him along. We go backstage to Dasha talking with Matt Hardy and Private Party. So Dasha's
after he sees her titties and shit, she screams out of the room, and then you just cut to Cassidy and he just gives her one of these.
Or even better, he's like,
yeah,
he doesn't put it over.
That's it. Go ahead, Maddie. Sorry, I had titties on my brain.
That's fine. So following that, we've got backstage with Dasha and Matt Hardy. Now they talk about things being great until they all are reminded that Hardy gets a 30% of their money. They call him a money-grabbing carny. Hardy's offended by the disrespect, tells them that the fans don't even care about them, didn't know who they were until he came along. He says that he learned the hard way at All Out, the fans don't even care about him. He says when tells Private Party jump, they better respond how high. And he orders them to walk off, and they do. And you know what? I got to give Matt Hardy respect here for this. You know, if been on me, told me to jump, I jump. So Private Party, you fucking jump.
I agree, man. Like Matt, even though this could have gotten really wrestling, and it was a little bit, Matt really turned up the volume on here and made it scathing, and to get him the frig out of there. And they get the rib of the 30% with Twitch and the, you know, WWE shit in there and the underlying premise. But you get to see Matt as the big leaguer, and what he's saying isn't wrong. There's 2 other young athletic black teams right over there who are ready to take your spot, and your ass could be on the chopping block. You motherfuckers better dance when I say dance, because I'm the fucking man and I'm giving you the shine. So there's no falsehood in that. I say play that out even more. And Matt walks the line of the reality shoot in wrestling pretty well. I thought this was a good scene with intensity out of nowhere, kind of, and it was interesting to watch.
Very good scene, very good promo. Now we got a good, solid character direction for Matt that makes sense. I mean, do you think he should start training them Julian style, having a Private Party train like Corey Trevor?
Yeah, like hands up. Yeah, that I think a white guy whistling at black guys to have him come at his command might end badly, but I get what you're saying, Trailer Park Boys wise. Yeah, man.
Well, after that, we got the Inner Circle. They made their way out to the ring to deliver their New Year's resolutions. We start Chris Jericho, of course, plays the fans, immediately begins singing along, as you guys mentioned, because he song. Jim Ross plugs the Inner Circle New Year's resolution coming up, of course. After that commercial, then Jake Hager starts. He says that this year, he just starts off away, like he's like, championships! And I love Jake Hager was great.
Yeah.
Championships! That's what we're getting. That's my resolution.
That's it.
MJF says he'll take you from there. He first tells Jacob he had a great answer. He says he wants to strengthen the bond that he has with the rest of the Inner Circle, and the fat people must go. And then everyone was like, yeah, fat people must go. And then Chris Jericho says that he wants to give his New Year's resolution. He says he thinks this year.
Isn't that a rib right on Jericho about fat Jericho?
I thought it was a little bit.
Yeah. Chris Jericho then says he wants to give his New Year's resolution. He says he thinks this year he and MJF will win the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Now, before we can continue, Pride and Powerful jump in and go, whoa. Before talking about being, and they start talking about being handpicked by Jericho to be the team represented in the Inner Circle. Then Sammy Guevara cuts him off and has one of the lines tonight by saying, Chris Jericho, you know what you are? You're a tag team slut. And everyone everyone's reaction. Oh my God! Why would
you know? What I liked even before that is when they were putting over the fucking. And I'm going to learn how to make my grandmother sofrito, and then and MJF goes, I know what that is, and then people are booing it. He goes, "You're booing food. You're."
That's great. You're booing food. Like that was a great line. Yeah. He was right. He was right. Who would boo food? Why would you do that? So the Inner Circle, of course, are in shock. Sammy brings up that he and Chris were the sex gods, that Jericho and Hager tagged, that Jericho and MJF tag, and that he says maybe what are you gonna do next? You're gonna tag with Snoop Dogg after chumming it up? And then Jericho's like, maybe.
Jericho's delivery of that line was money too. Maybe
because but here's the thing: they're taking mistakes, things that shouldn't be. Where Jericho's burying him on the mic, and then Big Snoop, he don't know about wrestling, so he's gonna come over and give his boy the pound, and Jericho marks because it's Snoop Dogg, and he's gonna on camera. That's not set up. That's not like in the script for him to do that. Because next week we're gonna do these jokes. So my point is, there are no mistakes. Everything is a gift. And when you can improvise at a high level, lines like, oh, you're going to tag with Snoop, maybe, is because of the error last week. But instead of saying, lo, we're not going to acknowledge that, you accept it. And it becomes part of the lexicon. And then we can get a joke in on it that breaks the parallel of phony wrestling, Jericho marking out for it, but we fucking do it in a ribbing way on camera for the smart fans who are watching AEW. That's good stuff. And it's not because of somebody wrote it and da-da-da that way. It's because they just said yes to, well, Jericho's burying him and fucking now he's doing that. So let's rib him about it on there and then get a real reaction that's half jokey. You can only play that way when you play into each other's hands and say yes and to each other's errors. They're accepted as a gift. They were meant to be there the whole time.
I was just gonna say you yes and right, because I was also watching. I was watching something the other night. I don't know, some of the improv show we had on like the CW. Might have been Whose Line Is It anyway? And like one of them fucked up. I think Wayne Brady fucked up in the middle of it, and Colin Mockery just goes, "Wait a yes and then like nobody really got it except them on set. It was great
for them to go over. But if somebody makes a mistake in a scene like that, we can yes and it and adopt it, or we can make that into a game, which means somebody has to make that mistake again. And then when they do it the second time, it will psychologically reference it. Then we go away from it. And then in the third act, out of nowhere, somebody makes that same mistake. It brings a roar of fucking laughter, bro. Like, because we played true to it, went away from it, and then didn't just let it go to the fly. We know it's over there, our mistake. Let's pluck that string one more time on the way out. Audiences fucking love it. I don't know what it is in our DNA and our psychology, but that rule of threes and the way you play it out the right way can have one of the best feelings for your audience of like, oh, it was worth my time watching.
I just linked what you said, and then I'm visually linking to what I've been watching, and I'm like, oh my God, there it is. I can see why these guys are doing it. Okay, that makes sense.
And Jericho trained with the Groundlings. Yep. He knows what the fuck he's doing, bro. He knows.
Well, continuing on here, Sammy Guevara. I'm about to stooge off the punchline here. Sammy Guevara is still not happy and says, "You know what? Fine, I'm gonna tag with Jake Hager. It's gonna be Sammy and Hagar." And Jericho goes, "You mean Sammy Hagar?" and he goes, "No, Sammy and Hagar. Why? What's the big deal? What's so funny?" And then Jericho just, never mind.
Right. So it's a generational joke, and that hit. But here's the problem. The Sammy and the Hagar is a setup jokey ha 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 to get a fucking waka waka. Sure, we can do tongue-in-cheek stuff like that. Tell me what's the higher move. Referencing something from last week that's that and playing it into your game, or a setup of a badum-tsh. Like, one is a quick laugh stand-up wise. The other one is a reality that we're creating. And that's why improv will outshine stand-up 10 out of 10 times when it comes to it.
Well, that being said, let's jump, as Van Halen likes to say, the next segment.
Hold on, you didn't even finish this one.
I was going to say the next part of this segment. Sorry to jump. Let's jump into the next part of this segment. So it says next week there's going to be a three-way tag team match to decide who's going to be the official tag team of the Inner Circle. It's going to be Chris Jericho and MJF versus Proud and Powerful and the team of Sammy Guevara and Sammy Hagar. Jager says, as we mentioned, championships as they end it, and then tells everyone to put their hands in, and they do. And that's how the segment ends.
Yeah, the championships things was good because that also in an improv scene gives us a chance to edit together. You know what I mean? At the highest point, we started with championships with the rib. We come back to it at the end. And even MJF, get your hand in here. You're ruining it. Like, that was the game move is good, man.
That I think was the best line of the whole thing. MJF calling the hands in, and Santana just brilliantly and understated goes, "Bro, why is your hand so much darker than your face?" MJF deadpan looks at him, "Poppy, you're ruining it. Get your hand in." MJF calling him Poppy was the best joke of the entire thing.
So
other great lines: tag team slut, championships, yeah. Sofrito y arroz con gandules, and Poppy, you're ruining it. Those are my favorite lines. It was just chock full of good lines.
Gandules mean with rice.
Gandules is a bean. It's a small green colored bean, not to be confused with the green bean.
Gotcha.
Vegetable. I didn't expect much of this. I saw the rundown, all these cool matches, and then I see Inner Circle gives New Year's resolutions. I was like, what the fuck is this going to be? But true to Inner Circle form, they made it one of the most entertaining parts of the show.
I really like this segment. I can tell you it really got me. Just
good.
You like that? More Van Halen? Anyway, next segment here. Alec Marvez is backstage, and he's having an interview with the Dark Order. And Backstage Marvez asked them how important, of course, their big night as group was winning during the AEW Dynamite Brody Lee tribute. Talk briefly about that, and then say that, of course, going forward, everything they do should be in recognition or for Brody Lee. Then they switch gears and they bring up Hangman Page, and Hangman Page will be teaming with the Dark Order next week. And they pull Hangman Page into the camera frame, who's holding the beer and a shot. And then they do a gushy fan interview of Hangman themselves, where John Silver said, "I love you," or "Why are you so amazing?" Then he asked Page if they're going to ever let them know if he's going to join the Dark Order. And they kind of convince him that, how about next week after the match? So Hangman agrees and walks off, and they are all jumping out. Yay, Hangman's going to be in. So it looks like next week we'll get the decision. If Hangman Page and Dark Order are successful, we'll probably get Hangman Page joining the Dark Order. Interesting. What do you think about them sticking Hangman with the Dark Order, Stung?
I think this is bad. I mean, this guy's got money written all over him as a singles guy, and why we're not putting it on him in order to do some shit with the cowboy hats of these little dudes when they should be getting away from that too. They can be baby faces now in the wake of the loss of Brody because people love them. We don't need jokey to go back to that kind of low level stuff. Hangman Page, there's just too much value there, and to get him lost in the mix doing clownery stuff is not where we need him right now. He needs the next blood feud with somebody. I think him versus Eddie Kingston after Pac is way to go, or Pac versus Hangman. That's where there's money. Somebody along those lines. Right now, it should be Colt Cabana's lead, those guys doing Waka Waka versus Jungle Boy and fucking Luchasaurus, or taking on these mid-card guys, and, you know, maybe even putting Rowan back in there as Colt Cabana's bodyguard, or putting Rowan in there to regulate those guys from doing comedy when they try and get a little bit. He grabs them both by the fucking back of the neck, you know what I mean? And he's their big brother if they try and get too out of line, something along those lines, where the Scientologist will fucking put security on you if you fuck up. That should be Redbeards on those guys. I think there's just too much money on Page to put him with there.
He should be the comedy police. And there's this thing in right?
I love that.
There's this thing in Scientology. I can't remember what the phrasing is, but it's some knowledge report, I believe it's called.
Okay. Yeah.
It's essentially when you tattle on somebody. So if you and I are both Scientologists, I would write this report saying, hey, the other day Ben was saying Scientologists are a bunch of assholes, and tattle on you. Then you have to go get audited, and then you have to go through.
I think that's the first time you've ever called me Ben in our knowing each other.
If we were Scientologists, you know,
you'd have to call me that.
You have to call you Ben. There'd be no Hamin, no Popsy.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a fun layer to add into the Dark Order too. If you get Rowan there as this comedy police, and then you got the other guys stooging each other off. Well, hey, Silver was trying to do comedy again on Dark the other night, and you got Rowan coming out like
love it.
Knowledge reports on each other. But
if they're in a match and he's fucking reviewing their stuff on being the elite, and they're in a match going, he just comes down and gives them the comedy punishment and kills them, and the other guys beat him after he kills them, man, right?
They're doing last night's format of their promo is what they've been doing on BTE, which has been all the haha stuff.
Yeah.
Hangman needs to stay. They're doing fine. I like those guys, but Hangman needs to stay as far away as he can, be his own man, unless they're gonna be clear baby faces and Hangman's gonna fuck him over and go from being a cowboy to being an outlaw. That would be the only favorable outcome.
Mm-hmm. I just think I don't see it that way. And there's a lot of value right now in the Dark Order if they shape it the right way to really pluck people's heartstrings, to sell those Brody shirts, you know what I mean, all year long, not just this month and we're on back to wrestling again. The Dark Order could be made forever in an NWO way based off of Brody's legacy now if they play it the right way. And they can still have a lot of fun in it, don't get me wrong, but they're baby faces and they don't need to do fucking Waka Waka in order to endear themselves to the crowd.
They're going to. I got news for you. It's going to be Waka.
Oh, I know they're going to, but that's because they don't have a director who's saying, guys, let me show you what the best in you is. Let me show you what I see in you that you don't, and then let me pull that performance out of you. And at the end of the day, you're going to create a legacy piece that's going to overarch into 2-3 years of business. So when we do a Remember Brody thing in 2 years, you can cut all this together and put an image of Brody looking down and know that he's proud of what he's seeing, instead of a quick fucking knock joke level type shit. You know what I mean? Let's play to the height of our character's intelligence. That's what we want to do.
You're 100% right, man. I mean, literally, they could take this any direction they want. They could make it a straight slapstick comedy thing. They could make it serious again, or they could just make it an endearing thing that sometimes is funny.
That's where the money is. That right there, that third one is where
they got the talent. They got Colt. The Super Smash Brothers are fucking awesome. That Silver Kid is hilarious. They got the young people in there. 10 looks great. You know, that Alan Angels kid will come along in a few years. He's like 3 years experience. Like, they could stretch this shit out and have something. They can do whatever they want.
Jokes, and we even put this over, I can't remember on which show, and he just had surgery. If you're going to do the Scientology Sea Org thing, you just keep them going in scenes like that, and then you open a door, and X-Pac is in there giving somebody, what do they call it when they take inventory of you? Audits. X-Pac is the auditor. What's X-Pac? He's 6, right? Like, so we don't need him out there fighting matches. It's just quick cameos that are smart, that endear your audience like that. So let's play to all that instead of some phony little dollar store cowboy hats. We're better than that.
Yep, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, now we get to the next story. I guess you might say one of the big matches of the night. It's the story of Darby Allin and Brian Cage, as they gave us a very in-depth vignette video package that tells the full story between Darby Allin and Team Taz leading up to this night's showdown between the new face of TNT and the Machine, with the title on the line. But before we get there, we get the band, quote unquote, back together, as we have Don Callis, who walks in with Dasha, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Kenny Omega, and the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks. They talk briefly and say that they'll see each other out there. Initially, it looked like Kenny was like, we're going to do it. We want to do the elite entrance, if you will. But Don Callis tells him, no, I like your entrance. You guys do your own thing. Let's have Kenny go out and you guys come out. So, of course, we got the big reveal here as the Dapper Yapper, Justin Roberts, began his formal pre-match introductions. He did the introduction for Kenny Omega. Him and Don Callis came out. And then Don Callis took the mic from Justin Roberts and said that he was going to do the intro. He does his little intro shtick, and he ends it by saying, and now to introduce two very special people in Kenny's life, our World Tag Team Champions and Kenny Omega's two best friends in the world, the Good Brothers. So it looked like he was going to say the Young Bucks, but no, the Good Brothers come out. They even go backstage showing the Young Bucks standing with Tony Khan, looking dismayed and disappointed. As the swerve was in here, the Good Brothers emerged from the crowd, and they joined Kenny Omega for this match. Now, Excalibur points out the Young Bucks, of course, didn't appear to be in on it. So based on what we saw in being the Elite, it looked like the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers had quelled any animosity they had toward each other, but that is not the case. We do see the smoke clearing, and we get the match that starts here. Now, I didn't realize that they kind of made a big deal like that this was going to be a big match, but it really wasn't. It was just Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers taking on Danny Limelight, Brian Pillman Jr., and Griff Garrison.
Why the fuck would you waste the Good Brothers for the lowest new guys on the fucking card for a get over when it's an invasion angle based off of what they just did on Impact, bro? This had me like, what? You're going to fucking use these guys here against these guys? Dude, such a miss, an absolute miss right here coming off of Impact to have them fight them to go over strong on before the bell rang. You knew what was going to happen. So why even book it, dude? And then the second part of that is to me, it's not getting them over. Good Brothers and Bullet Club and Omega are fucking well established. If you're putting guys out there like that, like a Brian Pillman, forgive me on the other two, I don't know. Lyme disease and whatever the other fucking kid was. Like, That's their time to shine. So you put them in versus Matt Hardy's guys, and you show Matt Hardy's guys fuck up, and Matt ratchets that up even more, right? That's the level of those guys. That's where on Dark this match should be taking place. Not Good Brothers in a get-over match. Good Brothers coming in means instantly against top guys. And if Good Brothers are there, then Motor City Machine Gun should be right on their fucking heels with Rich Swann. And we didn't get any of that, bro. So a really big miss here of what's going down in the two fucking Sweet Crew to have them out there and waste them like that. Those performances are special. And to have I was scratching my head as soon as I saw this come out, man.
Silvio?
Was this the one you mentioned something at the top of the show?
Yeah, dude, because I just got done watching Impact and they beat the fuck out of Swann and Motor City Machine Guns. Now they're fighting these young boys and letting them get shit on them instead of fucking out carnying them and that kind of shit. You know what I mean? To fucking make them, they're trying to make these young dudes when this isn't the feud at all. If anything, the match should have taken place. And then Swann and Motor City Machine Guns fucking stop it with the run-in, fuck them over, and we get the continuation of the brawl that we had at the end of Impact. I was waiting for it. Never came.
I was correct then. I had two options. This was 1A, and 1B happens a little bit later. So I was correct that this one got you a little hot. I love Omega and the Good Brothers doing something together. I'm totally cool with that. I like the way that they teased the Young Bucks, and then it was the Good Brothers. It makes things a little bit more exciting. What I didn't understand about the segment was they had the Varsity Blondes and this Danny Limelight fellow, and they went a couple segments through a break, and these guys were getting a lot in. Like Danny Limelight, he was impressive. He did some cool shit, but this is your world heavyweight champion, and Gallus is in the shape of his life. Carl Anderson looks like a scary motherfucker, and they're great. So they're coming in, and these guys are young talent, underneath talent at the moment. Maybe one day they'll be main eventing, and I hope that they all do. But they were getting in a lot of offense, and we have these guys being our main heel. This is our act. This is our money. And, Mega's bumping all over for Danny Limelight. Carl Anderson, had, I think, Danny Limelight kick out of something big. Like, that kid was indestructible.
I know, drop kicking motherfuckers in the corner.
Yeah,
Good for you, Danny Limelight. He was stealing it, but based off of the business we did with Impact, let alone 24 hours before this was the wrong setup. And then it also has me think about guys like Chris Daniels, Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. I mean, there's probably a couple others in there, and who are upper level veterans. And now the Good Brothers are coming in, taking TV time, not even for matches that really fit their storyline and do business for what it should be. They're just coming in and facing under guys, and they're not on the roster full time. That breeds cancer in your locker room, dude. It gets one person. Can you believe these guys fucking come in here and fucking take TV time, and they're good brizzing backstage? Good to see you, dude. And fucking meanwhile, they're on Impact taking your TV time. That creates a situation. Believe me, it does, as a writer, director, producer.
At the post-match of this, we saw Moxley come out and take it to all three of them. Looked like he was getting the better of them. And then we had the Lucha Brothers come out. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, that should have been the match. They should have just booked the 6-man of this Elite Reunion versus Moxley and the Lucha Brothers. That would have been a big matchup that had stakes. And Gallows and Anderson can believably sell for the Lucha Brothers because they're a top act. Either that, or it should have just been a 5-minute, they run through these guys. Let Limelight get a cool spot in, let the Blondes get a little comeback in, but the rest of the time they're bumping, selling, and they're getting shut the fuck down. And just have the Good Brothers and Omega steamroll them, cut a heel promo at the end, or get out of it. Or like your idea with Private Party against the varsity team. Gallows and Anderson could have ran out, NWO style Hall and Nash, laid to waste, power bombing all of them. Omega comes out with Callis. They cut a promo. They're ping ponging the extras that are trying to get in the ring. We got some heat, Just, it was a weird look having the top guys be so competitive with the young talent. And they're all great.
To me, it should have been SCU versus the Good Brothers. Veteran talent versus veteran talent, and then the run-in from Swann and Motor City Machine Guns. Anything short of that, we fucked up.
That would have been good, because then SCU could have at least gone over. If it ended in schmoz, they don't have to break up, right?
Absolutely. So just and it's no heat on the young dudes on Varsity Blondes and Limelight. Fucking they did what they were told to do, and even though that was the wrong spot for them to be in, it really should have been Matt Hardy's guys versus them.
I think that was a case of, and we've seen him do it before. I think that was a case of Kenny Omega being too nice of a guy. I learned a long time ago, and I think it was Joey Mercury. This might have been the one that told me that sometimes you got to learn when to be selfish in the ring. And last night would have been the time to be selfish in the ring. Sometimes you make a guy look like $1 million. Other times, all you got to do is sell.
Those guys are too young too, because if I'm in a match, it's not my character, but let's say I'm a good-looking athletic dude like you, Sil, right? And you know these monsters who got top business. Silvio's not going to go, dude, you're burying me because I'm not getting my shit in. Sil's going to go, Gallows, you're a fucking monster in the top thing. Let me sell for you. You give me the fucking choke slam. I'll fucking be dead. No kick out. You pick me back up. Give me one other thing, and I'm fucking dead to make you over so they can run in. He's going to know where his spot is because this shit is phony and he wants to serve the story. These young dudes are just going to do what they're told. Really, the fucking, if this was a shitty 6-man, they should have gone, these guys need to kill us right here and quick, not us get back over on them. But those guys are so young in the business that they don't have the stroke to do that, to say that kind of shit. You know what I mean? And believe me, Gallows is going to go, oh, you want to make me look stronger and fucking dead cell for me? Sure. He's not going to go, no, I'm taking your fucking drop kicks and all this other shit in the corner and then kick out on fucking 2 and bury my stuff in size while you're 160 pounds and I'm 6'8", 300, you know, like we're just this 50-50 shit. It's okay to have guys get fucking beat in 2 minutes. And we're about to get to that segment. This is the second thing that got me fucking super hot.
Yeah, so after the match, they're all celebrating. Mox makes his way down to the ring through the crowd and kind of stalks the ring. And then he charges right in after Omega goes to work. Good Brothers swarm. Numbers game eventually too much for him. And then out of nowhere, Ray Phoenix hits the ring. He comes flying into the picture. Brawl spreads into the ring, out of the ring. Eventually, officials run out from the back to break it up. We see Mox hit the paradigm shift on one of the security people and then dives through the ropes onto Omega. He rolls him back to the ring and follows in after him. The Young Bucks then come out, try to calm Mox down. Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. hit the ring behind them. Young Bucks turn around. They get their own super kicks to the face. Then Phoenix and Pentagon follow that up with more attacks, and officials hit the ring to break that up. We then see Omega and Callis retreating with a big smile on their face. Well, you kind of see Omega trying to like go back and help the Good Brothers with Callis swaying him the other way. And then Mox paces around as his music starts playing, and then we head to commercial break.
I see Impact did put that out. That's good shit, man. Good for them. Yeah. Enjoy the graphics, so.
Yeah.
It would fucking go. Yeah, we did her up, man. I'm glad. Say what?
Team building effort there.
It was. I mean, everything goes through iterations, and everyone did good. From Rick Vickery and you, and then me touching things up, and I think that was version 6 right there. Next was Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy versus FTR. Am I wrong?
I think the waiting room was next.
100 likes, so I started following these people. TV Rate TV.
Oh, the waiting room was next. This was.
Yes.
Oof, yes, the waiting room was next. So I liked the beginning of this with the cheesy fucking. So it's Britt Baker's waiting room, Dr. Britt Baker's waiting room with Rebel playing the Ed McMahon or Tony Atlas, if you will, doing the fake laughs, which I don't know if that's a choice and a rib on Lacey Evans because she's doing that now and now Rebel's doing it, or if it's just the Ed McMahon tip of the hat. But either way,
Rebel don't watch that shit. She don't
watch that shit. Her fucking man is the producer of that shit.
Lacey Evans ain't on NXT.
She would give it a week. So Rebel does her thing, and that made me fucking laugh. What really made me laugh is Dr. Britt Baker, they got all the plants who was singing the Jericho song in this little fake audience there, like 4-row audience. She's like, everybody check under your chairs and see what I got you. Everybody checks under their chairs. It wasn't fucking shit underneath their chairs. I did that same bit in 2CW, so it popped the fuck out of me when I saw it out there, and it was good TV that way. But then things go way sideways and way like lowbrow, cheap and cheesy. They light sparklers to have Cody walk in through a door under sparklers, which makes
you didn't like the rib where she was like, "We've got to have he has sparklers, higher in the contract." Yeah, Britt Baker when she comes up, they're like, "We got the sparklers because it's in his contract that he has to have pyro. Oh, we got to put this out because it's burning our hands now." That was
I get the inside ribs, but if things like that, just they're like, why would you inside rib your own guys when you can fucking take mad shots at WWE? You know, like it's things like that that are just like show animosity and true colors coming through in the writing. To me, when there's always truth in those little fucking jokes, you know, and truth in comedy. And those are stingers. And believe me, unless Cody specifically told them to get me with that, that was written in there through animosity, and that means there's dissension in their locker room. So Cody's thing doesn't really go well, and then all the girls rush in, and we have a big pull apart with every woman, and then we see, obviously we know it's a phony set, the edge of the set, so the shot isn't right, and then it goes back to a Britt Baker promo while half of them are just standing there waiting for Britt to deliver a promo so we can look up at the Titantron and see the match that she doesn't want to be put into, but oh my God, she's put into. And then people are exiting through the doorway after we've seen the front of the set where they can just walk around. So we killed the realities of what we're doing in the comedy of the tongue-in-cheek stuff by doing real violence. Then we went back to phony wrestling to, oh no, I'm a wrestler on a roster, but I don't want to face that person. That's what you're fucking paid to do. You're a pro wrestler and you claim to be the baddest bitch on the block, but you don't want to face nobody. So we're going back and forth with these tropes that just didn't work.
Bro, that's also heel 101. I know I've done it a million times, and so have you. When somebody says that next week, Silvio, you're going to have to face Jamie Olivencia. Whoa, no, I didn't agree to that. That's heel 101, man. I know you've been there.
No, usually I'm the guy they got to face. I'm not the one. No, not him. Anybody but Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You know, like if they.
Like when you found out you had to be in that cage, I'm sure you weren't like, oh, hooray. I'm sure you were like, whoa, okay.
At the same time, I was like, you know, it wasn't a big setup of like, no. She's on the roster. I'm a fucking manager at the time. Like there's just a lot of like back and forth that was too tongue in cheek. They started out with something after Cody's entrance and then the breakdown. It just got real schmozzy, real junior high. And even the shots didn't fucking support the creative. It got really like, ew, we're trying to play wrestler. So I was confused because I came in halfway before I went back and rewatched it again, and the front end made me laugh.
What do you got on this, Maddie?
I thought it was funny, to be quite honest. I thought it was very entertaining. Just to kind of give the audience the breakdown of what happened. Baker did the monologue style introduction, as you mentioned, with Rebel doing a hokey laugh every time she hit a punchline. She introduced Cody. Rebel walked in with the sparklers, all kind of like the Gilbert status, and made that punchline joke about it's in his contract. And then I liked when Jade Cargill came in. I kind of liked that introduction there, and I thought. I was sitting there talking with my buddy, and I was like, Jade Cargill is just so in shape. You could bounce a dime off of her. Like, she's
insane. Right? Here's what they miss, though. And this is the joke. If you're going to jokey and do it, then that's fine. Especially if you're doing, you're at jokey to start with. What's the spot here? All these girls rush in. There's one guy. That guy is married with a pregnant wife. Cody's in the middle of them all. They all fall down. They're all rolling all over Cody while he's in there, and all the girls and Cody's at the bottom of the girl dog pile. Only so when he leaves and is like, hey, I had all the girls all over me. That was fucking sweet. Turns around angry pregnant wife is there to fucking how dare you on him. That was the only way I was going to fucking put this over to get it out when I saw the girls there and him in the scene. Otherwise, it was all self-serving egregious, and we could have gotten to that setup of the, no, I'm not facing her, where Cody delivers the news, and it's a shocker to fucking undercut all of the inside jokes that the doc has done to get back with some reality. Instead, there was just too much going on, man. Too many moving parts.
Well, after Jade Cargill came in, they were jaw jacking, and then we had Red Velvet. She came in, and again, I'm not to be that guy, but I looked right at her, and I had to do double take. I went, "Oh, Brandy!" I mean, Velvet's here. Because she has the same hairstyle.
Mini
So
Brandy, right?
It looks like
yeah, she looks like her. The hairstyle looks too similar to Brandy's right now, with how it swoops over the top, and because of her stature. Yeah, no, it just she needs to like spice up her look a little bit. I don't know. So anyway, so Velvet smacked Jade. Jade smacked her back. They brawl. A bunch of people rushed. Cody got out of there. Yeah, smacked her pretty hard. And then after that, I did like the fall. See, I like this part too because it kind of threw me off. I liked that Baker pulled out the phone and she clicked the button and it went off, and I went, "What?" And then like Thunder, she came up, or they had her beating down Thunder Rosa from the week before. So I liked that. I will criticize this as a production guy because we criticized it. I was sitting there with another production guy. Thunder Rosa shooting her promo on her cell phone. We were like, "Oh, you sat down on your cell phone. Shouldn't have done that, or you should have like gotten a better lighting or something," because it was just very pixelated.
Maybe you don't remember SmackDown 2 years ago with the Uso Penitentiary promos with the fucking Instagram overlays. I agreed. I wouldn't want it on a cell phone either. I'm just keep thinking about that. Those girls should have trampled Cody, and that whole scene should have taken place, and they all leave, and then Cody has to pick himself up off the ground after all that shit. We just missed some points here.
I thought Britt was hilarious in this. Rebel was great in it. The opening was very funny. The go doctor.
Yeah, the back-to-back shot, like that kind of fucking stuff is good.
So good. Britt had some hot ones on Cody. I can't remember all of them. I wish I would have wrote them down, but she referenced the neck tattoo. Oh, yeah. When Brandy came up, Britt with the shitty smile on her face is like, "No Brandy for 9 months. No Brandy for 9 months." Like, just cool shit. Once Jade came out, I was expecting her to come out for whatever reason. And then when she did, I was like, all right, where are they going to go with this one? Cody just kind of he didn't even get to say a word. So it was a little bit odd of Cody's part in that. Right. Then we saw Mini Brandy in the pull apart. I liked Britt. It looked like she was filming the fight like World Star style, like people do in 2021. She's standing on the couch, popping for it with Rebel. Oh, look at this. Whoa. And then it was kind of, you're right. I mean, it was kind of a weird cut to the video with the package of her tapping out Thunder Rosa backstage.
All the girls were just standing there looking up at the fucking sky. Yeah. They were just fighting. Now they were all looking up there, dude. It was bad.
By the end of it, I was laughing because of Britt's reaction to it, which we disagree on, but I liked her reaction to it. So overall, taking the segment all together, I thought it was funny and it was a good job. It just did have a couple of those weird moments, but I want to see more of that on Dynamite.
We could tighten this up. There's no doubt about it. This could get better and be as funny.
I just want to say, guys, if you're going to shoot from your cell phone, shoot in a very bright area. And make sure the light is in front of you. Get a lot of good light. Because honestly, it really doesn't matter the quality of camera you have. It's about your game. So just make sure you got good lighting, and you can really shoot anything on any camera.
Set up a ring light or something too. If you do the selfie mode, it's not going to look as good. So either have someone else film it or prop your phone on something or use a ring light. If you go to your phone settings, most modern smartphones, you can film in 4K as well. So it won't look like a shitty cell phone video. A little protest for you.
There you go. Boom. Well, after we had that Thunder Rosa promo, and she was shocked. I don't want to be in that match. I'm not agreeing to that. Looks like that's going to happen at Beach Break, as they announced. That's the next big event. Then we go to Jurassic Express versus FTR. And as they revealed last week, because of -1, talking down to Marco Stunt, that amped him up, and he placed himself in this match. So instead of Luchasaurus, we've got Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy taking on FTR. And ultimately in this match, we ended up seeing what I kind of thought was going to happen. FTR wins, as we've got Tully Blanchard slammed Marco Stunt face first into the steel ring post, and then that brought over Jungle Boy, And then he tried to make Tully answer for what he did, but he ended up walking right into a big shot from Hardwood, send him into the ring, and they hit the big rig double team finisher for the pinfall. So winner of this match, FTR, Ben Hamin. What did you think of Marco Stunt here being thrown around like a rag doll by FTR in this match? What did you think of the match itself?
Rotten. Should have beat him in 3 minutes. We're the top guys. We're FTR. There's a 20-minute time limit rub match against us. We're in here against the small guy from Jurassic Park and then the midget, that is the kick around with them. You got the brain busters there, the guys who should be the most technically proficient heels to be able to beat anybody in the quickest amount of time through technical acumen, having Tully Blanchard on the outside, but you can only win because Tully does a fucking misdirection draw spot with the midget dude. That's the only way you can go over? No. You fucking beat the shit out of Marco Stunt right away. You fuck him off outside of the ring. Tully steps on his hand so the ref's not seeing it while you get a double team on fucking Jungle Boy. 1, 2, 3. That's the match. Anything less than that, FTR looks like complete shit. In my opinion, they can't beat the comedy fucking midget team in under 6 minutes. We got big problems booking wise. This was the worst match on the fucking show, hands down.
And now a positive word from Eros con Silvio.
Eros.
Eros,
I mean, what's the one thing that you kind of universally need in pro wrestling for the audience to be able to invest in what's happening? What's one universal theme that you're going to need there in order for them to really invest in what you're doing?
Heels need heat. I always go with first one. Put your heat on your heel, make your baby off your heel.
Yep, definitely. I would say, regardless of how surreal it is, there has to be a level of believability. Otherwise, the crowd's not. If it's not believable and relatable, the crowd's never going to get into it. But so much, and I think we kind of ran into that a bit last night.
Believability of me versus Matt in a shoot. How long is Matt going to last?
30 seconds.
Right. Unless you make the story sensical to where something happens in the first minute while you're throwing Matt over the top rope, you tear your fucking quad. Now you're down. Matt realizes what happens. Oh shit. Now we got a level playing field, but you got to be smart about how you do this. Last night's match.
Look at pecking order still on the roster. FTR here, yeah. Lucha Express here. That means 2-minute get over, and we got business on the back end from somebody else.
Jungle Boy.
This was way wrong.
And Luchasaurus would be here. FTR here.
I agree.
That's a believable match.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with Marco, he's doing a good job, but it's not believable for him to be able to beat FTR. And a few things Marco did, like they had some cool spots. Like I love that monkey flip. They did a reverse monkey flip. Regardless, they had a couple cool spots. On Marco's end, he was kind of missing on like a few of his kicks. So he's got to make sure a guy his size, he's laying his entire body into everything he's doing. What hurt the match is that it was too hard for FTR to beat Marco Stunt. I'm going to put Jungle Boy on the next level because Jungle's a rising star. If Orange Cassidy could be a main eventer, so can fucking Jack Perry, okay? Him and Luchasaurus and FTR could be a great competitive match where they could do shit like they did with DIY. They had those blockbuster matches with Gargano and Tommaso. I think Stunt's just a little bit too small now. Maybe he'll get bigger, put on some muscle. So I think that's kind of what hurt it. FTR, I think they just kind of rolled with the punches, did the best they could. They were told they have 10 or 12 minutes. How are you going to fill it? You know?
So it sounds like to me, Silvio, that this was a Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy match, maybe with Marco Stunt instead. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
That's what it should have been.
I mean, the 12 minutes and 10 minutes, regardless, is way too long. You fuck off the small guy. You kill Dylan McKay's kid in under a minute and a half, and then you have Tully throw the small kid back in there, Marco back in to get double killed. You leave them laying, and you show that these guys shouldn't even be in the fucking ring with me because we're FTR, the best there is in this business. Now, the fact that you go more than 3 minutes and you don't do that, you're not the best in this business anymore. You're a go along to get along tag team, and you're forgettable because these two midgets can fucking pull time with you. So why would I believe that you could ever go up against whoever the next Demolition, Legion of Doom, whatever is supposed to be, and have that be believable if these guys can go pull time just because you want to show we can work anybody? Well, you can't, because you don't even know how you should be working against, if you're a top guy, against bottom guys. And bottom guys should know that they're a comedy routine and they need to make top guys look super strong. Because comedy guys on the bottom will get over with comedy lamenting how quickly they got beat because they have empathy. Spike Dudley has empathy that him getting beat means way more, and beating viciously means way more in a quick amount of time to get somebody over. But we're doing 50-50 booking with top guys and the lowest guys.
I don't think it's fair of you to group Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt together, both due to stature and both due to their investment. Jungle Boy is smaller, but he's not tiny. He's like Tommaso Ciampa size minus some weight. Have you ever seen Jungle Boy? I could have a believable match with FTR, and it could be fucking awesome. And Jungle Boy's taller than me. You know,
he's also two years in the business.
That's true. I'll give you that.
Like, let's stop putting because he's Luke Perry's kid and he looks cute and he's a baby face. Baby faces need empathy. Leave them laying. Stop trying to get your shit in, and know that FTR, if they're claiming to be top guys, have to beat guys that are gimmick. A jungle guy and a midget guy need to be beaten senselessly and laying with heat, and you don't get fuck all on me, bro. Nothing.
I think they could have done it in 5 or 6, but I wouldn't have squashed Jungle Boy. There's too much of an investment.
He could have got one keep alive. I agree with that, but he got 3. So we're done. And this goes to FTR too, claiming they're top guys. They should know what top guy business is then. And I haven't seen it from them at all. So people can keep saying they're good Briz Cliz and they're all this and they're hangers on. Really, you're just on Tully and Arn's nuts, and they put you over because you do brain busters and know how to do a hot tag. But from what it takes to really get over and know what your opponents are and how you need to work them and how they need to lay out for you, they don't get it even yet. They still don't get it. They didn't get it in WWE, and they don't get it here, no matter how much they say they are.
You know who would be great in Marco Stunt's role?
Me.
From our past, Fang.
Oh, Fang would be phenomenal.
He could have done it expertly.
Fang would get it a lot more than both of them.
So Marco Stunt, if you're listening in, man, keep your workouts up. I know you've been trying to put some size on and diet and stuff like that. Watch some Fang and Rafael Constantine. He's a dude around your size that really could bring the fire and heat and fucking sell. I think you can pick up a few gems from him.
And the Fang Ryback connection should be the exact thing that he has with Luchasaurus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So not that he's out there with the heart of gold of the heart of a lion, trapped inside a leprechaun's body. They're just not playing his game out the right way.
You got to know how to book him.
Be Spike Dudley. Just be Spike Dudley, please.
You got to know how to book him.
All right, well, coming up next, we had, I thought it was a great match, NWA Women's Champion, Tay Conti, taking on Serena Deeb. The bell sounds to get off and running. First 2 scheduled championship matches here. This was the first one. So we've got her defending the title, Tay Conti, taking on Serena Deeb, the champion. There was some good stuff in here. I thought Serena did a really good job of kind of leading Tay, making her look really good in this match. I hadn't seen a lot of Tay Conti's matches on AEW Dynamite itself. So for her to work with veterans such as Serena, a great opportunity for her. Match was really good. Ultimately, of course, Serena's going to get the victory here. She's the champion, but Conti did hit a big pump kick. So she got a really big move, maybe Brody Lee's kick, if you will, at one point in the match. So she got some stuff in, but Serena ultimately picks up the victory here by locking on the Detox finisher. Thoughts, Ben? I'll start with you.
Yeah, I liked this match. There was just one point there where they had gone through their opening sequence and Ty pushes her and it was a little awkward of like, where do we go next? And she comes in with a spin kick and Serena catches it, hits her with a wizard. I like Ty Conti's mix in of her Brazilian jiu-jitsu with the knee bar. I like when people mix styles like that. I think nobody does that better than Bobby Fish, to be honest with you. Aleister Black was doing it pretty well, but who knows where the fuck he is. But Bobby Fish can mix Muay Thai in pretty well. And now Ty Conti is crossing that line there. Also super sexy with the fishnets and the high ass G-string look. She's got the body and if you go to her Instagram, she's more worried about showing some tits and ass, which is fine, I guess, as opposed to her mixed martial arts style. And maybe if she focused on that more, she would have won, or if that's what it said on the sheet in the back. But I liked a lot of this, especially when they're going back and forth at the end. I texted Serena, should have given her a 1 count on the backslide where she reverses out and Serena hits her with the backslide. Ty just rolled through and came right back up again. I would have liked 1 bing, boom. Like then we would have had it. It would have flowed a little bit better, but that's so small and nitpicky.
Yeah.
Deep Tox was clean, and I really love that seatbelt pin that Serena does when she lifts the arm up, comes back around, floats around, and then comes over the top. That just looks so I don't want to say amateur style of wrestling in pro wrestling.
It's a version of the Penn move called Penn State, which is where it originated from. And I looked to Jenna, I go, where did Serena learn the Penn State? She goes, Rip. I go, no, Rip didn't know amateur wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know if she learned the seatbelt.
No, definitely not.
But I love that she's got it in there and that it's her thing. And afterwards, I thought, Serena always questions her performance, like, am I doing this or enough? I think her emotion looks like a real champ, but I thought we could have used the Ring of Honor handshake there. She goes over to her, Ty Conti goes over to, forgive me, I forget the Dark Order girl's name. Hannah J. And like they look at each other for a minute, like they're going to do something, but then she stays heel with Hannah J. I think Serena could have come over and offered her hand there, and we could have had that minute of should I, and then she helps her up because the NWA title is about women's legacy in wrestling, and Serena needs to be the embodiment of that for all women. So even if there's heat going into it, this title's for us all. I just happen to be the one that's holding it right now. And you put on a good ass match, and I respect you. Like we could have had that moment. It seemed like it was there, and then we went away from it. I don't know if you guys felt that or not. That's all I really wanted on this, but this was the best match of the night.
I couldn't tell if they were going to do some extra business on the back end because you had Ty and Anna Jay looking at each other, exchanging some kind of dialogue. So I see where you're going with that. It looked like something might happen. The match itself, I thought, was tremendous. Serena is great, and we all know that. She did a really good job controlling the match and doing her stuff. But I got to give props to Conti as well. I've seen Conti developing, and I've seen her look not very good. And I've seen her with other opponents that couldn't hold their end up quite like Serena can.
I saw her live. I saw her live in Buffalo. She killed it. Probably the best match on the card, to be honest with you. I saw her once on AEW and then last night. And so all 3 times I've seen her, I was impressed. So I haven't seen a bad showing, but I'm glad that you have seen her improve because I thought she was kind of there.
What I saw last night was a woman that's been putting in the work outside. She's training somewhere. She's in the ring. She's listening to Dustin. She's getting her ring time. She's getting her reps in. She's taking this shit seriously, which is what you need to do. I thought they had a wonderful match. The best wrestling match of the card tonight was those 2 women.
Where do you walk the line with sexy versus a shooter?
See, we were discussing that last night. Personally, I thought the sexiness took away a little bit from the match because I felt like the guys are going to be looking more at her ass than appreciating the quality of the match.
They were in the producers chat. There's no doubt about that.
But there's that line of, okay, sex sells, but what are we in fact selling?
Right. So, do we sex sells, but is it the spot to be selling sex when we're trying to sell quality women's wrestling here? Somebody else's time is to sell the sex, right?
Because they were having a great match, but I guarantee you there are a bunch of horny bastards there that are just looking at this girl's ass and,
guilty of that too. What are you going to say?
So,
but this was the best match on the show.
I mean, to that point, I mean, I don't mean to like nitpick, but if we were going to nitpick, because this is what we do here, a little bit on Light the Fuse, do you think that maybe she should have, I don't know, covered up her bottom hind a little bit more? Like, should there be more? I mean, because we were talking about that last night.
What do you want to be? Do you want to be considered a badass fighter, or do you want to put on some slutty fishnets and show off your Brazilian assets and be, you know, El Carnival? Like you kind of got to pick a lane to go down a little bit. You can't be you want to fuck me, but I'm about to break your ankle. You know, like it don't work that way. So if she isn't, I mean, maybe that's Serena grooming her, or maybe she's gotten that good that she can just go work style. Then we need to switch up the gear from look at my ass cheeks, because I want straight wrestling from women who can go. She can always go back to sexy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, sexy is going to make her more money. So what do you want to do? Do you want to get out there and OnlyFans it and do that kind of shit, and you're not worried about it? Because Brazilians are pretty free and sexual culture, you know? Mm-hmm. So if that's the way it is, and I could see her coming out doing the sexy thing, still putting on good matches, but she just needs some, I don't want to say Carmella or Sasha spots, because she can probably do them better than they can, but something sexy along those lines. And when Rey Mysterio would come out to WrestleMania with the Aztec stuff on, she could come out with all that carnival stuff on and be that if she wanted to as well. But we kind of got to pick a lane of which way we're going to go.
I think it was the garter belts that drew the attention. If she were to, even the same cut of shorts she was wearing without the garter belts, I think it would have been a bit less sexy, but she probably needs to get a little lower cut, more down her legs on those pants. Yeah. But you got to think of it this way. Sex does sell, but and you said she could make more money. That's possible. But also look at Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch made fucking few $1 million being the man. She's a good looking woman, but she wasn't out there
sexy,
TNA, right?
She's not sexy.
Right. And, you know, that's kind of where it's going now with the direction of the women's evolution in wrestling and the women's movement. I think a lot of that sexiness might kind of put the movement on the back burner a little bit.
Movement's already gone, bud.
It's a hairy area to be in.
I think you're living in 2 years ago, bud. With ads, we talked about this morning. I know we're going long here. AdSense and all the Stephanie McMahon stuff of what they want to do with women's revolution was nothing more than a marketing ploy. And they had the women's chops with a Becky Lynch, a Charlotte Flair, a Ronda Rousey. They tried to bring up Bailey and Sasha to that level, but they weren't. And they just called it and labeled it the women's revolution, same as the LGBTQ push with Nyla Rose and Sonny Kiss, for them to use that as a marketing ploy. Now we're back to what really sells: sex. And it doesn't matter if Charlotte's going up for a fucking moonsault. Kevin Dunn is zooming right in on her box while she's bent over. The days of like, it's respect us as women and wrestlers and no more of this making us into sexual objects. That's we passed that about 3 exits back. We're on our way back to Carmella drinking Moscato, coming out in the same exact things, and fucking Sasha Banks in a bodysuit where you can see her fucking whole camel toe, the whole nine. So all that respect me as a woman shit was nothing more than a marketing ploy, evolution style. And a lot of them bought into it. And now a lot of them are going to have sour grapes because we're going away from it and they want to go back to tits and ass.
I think there's a way to be sexy without selling exclusively sex. For instance, let's take Jenna, for example, who I think is a very sexy woman. And based on some of the comments I read online, a lot of other men and women think so as well. She's in good shape. Her assets show while she's wrestling, but she's not wearing a slutty costume, and she's a very serious wrestler. And it still gets over, you know what I mean? So sure. Like, I think those days I know you're saying it's 3 years ago or whatever, but I think those days are largely in the past. There is going to be examples of people that are just selling sex. Like that's what they did with Lana. You know, that's what they do with Scarlett. But from the wrestling standpoint, I see it kind of going more away from that. And you can still have somebody sexy, but it doesn't mean that they're just exclusively a sex symbol. They're a really good wrestler who also happens to be attractive. but we're trying to sell the really good wrestler part more than
that's what ruined AEW out of the gate with the women's division, because not one of them could hold a fucking candle and stand up while they're all trying to do all this Kenny Omega overbooked shit that doesn't mean nothing until Serena comes in and shows you how wrestling needs to be.
And it Thunder Rosa.
Clusterfuck up to that point, bro. A complete clusterfuck. Every woman's match they ever had is forgettable at best up until then.
There were a few rough ones in there.
I've had even worse, though. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, so have I. All right, Maddie, is it main event time in the Garden? I think it is. You're muted, producer of the year.
Sorry, I'm talking to Big Ray Hernandez. I'm going to be joining him, Noel, and Vito this afternoon for a Patreon meeting. So I was trying to handle multiple things at once. Guys, that's what the producer of the year does. Anyway. Brian Cage, Darby.
A real producer of the year wouldn't stooge that off on there.
Oh, whatever. You stooge everything. You stooge everything. Now we get...
I'm a known stooge. Everybody knows that.
And now we get ready for a main event of the evening. Team Taz makes their way led out by the Machine, Brian Cage, was wearing his FTW championship, with the commentators point out, of course, not recognized by AEW or anyone else. We get in the ring, go to the break, come back, and Darby Allin comes out. New Year's Smash starts. The match gets underway. Cage pretty much dominates Darby Allin for the 70 to 80% of this match. Kind of figured he's the big monster guy, and you kind of hope to see that here. However, toward the end of the match, Darby began his rally. He rallied back, and he was able to pick up the victory over Brian Cage. Now, I questioned the finish. I was sitting with Joe Vernolo, shout out to Joe, my co-host, and I was like, wasn't that weird? Because just prior to that, Brian Cage chucked Darby Allin up, and he landed on the turnbuckle, and then he came back down with the stomp. But at the end, even in this, I get it, it was kind of a leverage pin. He wasn't able to chuck Darby Allin. So I don't know. I just thought the finish was a little weird. But overall, Darby Allin picks up the victory. Ben Hamin looks like he's going to be a little angry about this. So, Silvio, why don't you start?
I thought this match was brutal, and it had a lot of awesome moments.
Not brutal in the brutal to watch, like brutal bumps, like holy fuck.
Yeah, like brutal, like this shit hurts, this shit either is real or looks real. Darby is kind of the opposite of what we were talking about with Marco. Darby understands exactly how to work like Darby. He knows he needs to sell. That's where his sympathy is. He didn't get much offense, but everything he did was believable and smart. Like, it was absolutely brilliant when Darby finally starts rocking Cage and he takes his own belt off, scoops it around fucking Cage's feet so he can't move, gets on top of him, just starts wailing him crossface style, trying to gouge him and shit.
Off the ground too. You don't have energy to fucking get up and sell, but it is believable a guy's got enough. Like, I got my ass whipped in 7th grade or 6th grade by an 8th grader hard. And then I'm fucking picking gravel out of my face and hands. Is that all you fucking got? Whack, 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 whack. Down I go again. Mm-hmm. Fuck you. Take a third beating. So that was very believable, the middle finger off the ground that way.
And with Darby's character, and I'm sure a lot of who he is as a man, doesn't give a fuck about whether he lives or dies, really. No. So he showed that in the ring. So we had a lot of really cool brutality of Cage just throwing him around, big strikes. It was a scary spot when he got press slammed out of the ring through a table and he got power bombed out of the ring onto the ramp. Darby took those as safe as can be, but they're very risky. Darby just turned 28. I want to see Darby make it to 30.
I was going to ask you, that's not necessarily a spot. It seems like you can rehearse, right? You can't rehearse chucking somebody like that into a table.
That fucking table exploded when he hit that, bro. Like, to be honest with you, I wanted the match to end there. 10 count him and fucking that's it. But I knew he was going to have to be from underneath. And then that power bomb on the ramp, I got pissed at Seidel. Because I was like, Seidel would do something like that and I have to yell at him for fucking trying to do these spots. I yelled at him for busting his knees on there, and then he did it again the next fucking week just to rib me. So we'll see. We'll see when I fucking pinch his arm. Darby taking these bumps, exactly, I like what you said about Marco, is the sell that he needs to be doing. Darby climbing up those ropes just to get grabbed again and get fucked over again. Stinger comes out, doesn't do anything, just looks. It's enough of a distraction to get that fucking finish. I don't know if I believe the finish. I could have used a little something else where Cage takes himself out and Darby capitalizes. You know what I mean? I think I need a little more of that right there. I didn't like the Darby kick out on 1. I don't know if that was him being concussed and not knowing. I'll chalk it up to that. But
I think it was intentional.
I think, dude, after he's already dead on a keep alive, bro, why would you kick out strong on 1 after you just fucking been thrown off the Empire State Building? Maybe that's him just being a little too amateur right there and showing I have hope and keep alive. But that should have been 2 3/4, not 1. That was a big no-no in that match for me. And I just would have liked to seen Cage take himself out or really go at Sting, not Sting doing something to him, but that sets up enough for Darby to hit something to really finish it.
Let me ask you this, to deviate away. It's just to draw a parallel. Earlier in the night, we saw Mox walk by himself in the ring of 3 guys. But over the last couple weeks, 5 guys won't take on Sting and Darby Allin. I just find that a little bit perplexing. That's all.
5 guys who are fucking brick shit houses. You know, there's just some things that don't make sense. And even Taz trying to justify a couple things on commentary. He was doing his best to help it, but some of it didn't work.
No, it didn't make sense what he was talking about at the beginning. AEW is only allowing 2 members of Team Taz. I saw Ricky Starks, so I assumed that meant Ricky and Taz on commentary is 2 members. Then I see Hook out there. So the only one absent was Hobbs. Like, I don't quite know. Who knows? But for the 1 count thing, I mean, they actually did 2 of them. I was okay with the first one because I understand what Art Darby was trying to create. The second one fell on Cage because with his weight, like, I just remember thinking, Brian, put your weight on him.
Yeah.
If you put your weight on, if you put all your weight on me, it's going to be hard for me to kick out. And I'm a trained amateur wrestler. So they should have done that a little bit different. Like with Brian's size, if Darby tried to kick out again on 1, I'm going to hold his ass down and I'm going to wait until 2 3/4 and then he'll get that shoulder up. Mm-hmm. For the finish, I was okay with the finish. Going into this, I go, man, I have a feeling they might beat Cage clean in the middle. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. Going back to the lesson on believability we discussed earlier. But when Ricky Starks, crotches Darby on the top, Sting finally gets some physicality with the bat, takes out Starks. Then you see Brian taking that moment to look at Sting like, what the fuck are you going to do to lead into Darby to do that crucifix bomb? I was okay with it. It looked like Cage kind of landed on Darby, so I hope he's all right. But to your point, I mean, they could have added one little layer. So what they could have done is when Cage climbed up to the rope to get Darby, he stands and looks over at Sting. All Darby's got to do is give him a nut shot right there. Mm. He sells it. Darby can go in that crucifix pin 1, 2, 3.
So, or even to play into that, I was going to say with the ref distracted and Sting using the bat, Darby could have pulled out the skateboard and he could have hit Cage, right? That could have been another way.
He could have used the gimmick. He could have. I wanted to see fucking little Taz and Ricky Starks get a hold of Stinger to marginalize him. That's when big man goes up. Sting reverses out, pushes off little Taz, pushes Starks, hits the ropes, drops fucking Cage on the nut shot, big fucking cutter from him, a springboard cutter out of nowhere. I think that would have been the fucking finish. 1, 2, 3. But it needed to be for the heels thinking they were up. Stinger doesn't get shit on anybody in the ring, but fucks them off, and that residual is that's how I would have gone. But the after he chucked him over the top rope to that table, I was like, fuck yeah, you earned your money, buddy. Here's your envelope and another 50. Holy shit.
I think this match was a spectacle. It was beyond entertaining. Darby is phenomenal at his role and at selling. Cage looks like a monster, and last night he performed like one. Just the way he was chucking Darby and laying his shit in, like he looked like a fucking killer.
For the first time in a long time.
And it was really, even though he lost, he still came out smelling like a rose. So I thought it was very well done. It culminated what I thought was a very solid show. and felt like a special show. It felt like a good pay-per-view, not just a pay-per-view, but a good one. My only concern, I've said it before, and he ain't gonna listen because I didn't listen then either. But Darby, just protect yourself, brother. You got so much upside to you. You're already shaking up the world. You can do anything. But trust me, brother, that bump card don't last forever. Great work last night. I'm not taking anything away from you. Just pick your spots, as a wise man once told me.
Mm-hmm. Brian Cage chucking Darby Allin in a body bag. Brian Cage chucking Darby Allin to a table. I mean, visually, these are great spots, but these are not safe for you, Darby Allin.
To be honest, that table spot was safer than that powerbomb spot was on the fucking ramp, bro. Because you're going to fall and you got another 3 feet to go and it's slowing you down, even though it didn't look like it. When you hit that fucking wood that he powerbombed him on, you go back and watch that in slow-mo and watch his fucking spine, man. There's no give there at all. That is straight. That's 11 punches on your bump card right there, bro. That's a free coffee. I mean, at the end of the day. So please heed the words of Silvio, who is living it, but you're young, dumb, 28. And when you blow your something out at 30 years old, then you'll be like, you know what, I should have listened. But that's just being in your 20s, man. And that was long ago and far away for us, Sil, you old fucking bastard.
I'll let you guys in on the fourth wall. We always do that here on this show. There was a point, I'd say maybe my first 4 to 5 years, where I didn't feel pain in the ring. I did a lot of the stuff you see Darby doing. I did most of that. I did the Mike Awesome Masato Tanaka spot, the fucking power bomb out of the ring through a table. I did all that shit, and my body was so young and I had so much adrenaline that it didn't really hurt any worse than, like, I mean, if you punch me in the arm, like it's going to sting a little, but I'm going to be all right.
Right.
Somewhere around 5 years in, I took something like a body slam and was like, oh, this shit's starting to hurt. So I had to learn that lesson and cater things accordingly. I don't know if Darby's reached that point yet where he took that, maybe it was last night, where he took that bump.
He took all those skateboard slams and shit. His ankles are fucked already. Mm-hmm. You know, his ankles are fucking shot. Probably fucking wrists and whatnot aren't too good either from falling to your fucking hands all the time. And chances are, with no meat on his bone, his hip is chipped as well. So, like I'm saying, it's only going to take one match, and maybe it was last night, and it's going to be the other side of the coin instantly, bro.
But we wish him best of luck. We support the hell out of Darby on this show.
It was a good main event. I can't lie, man. It was good.
And with Serena right before that, man, great close to the show.
Forget about it.
Well, guys, that's it. Another edition of Light the Fuse. We gave you 2.5 hours of unfiltered, unedited free content right here on Hamin Media Group's YouTube and Ben Hamin. So you know what you can do to support Hamin Media Group? You can go to our patreon.com/Hamin Media Group, sign up for the $5 tier, and get the FR Rip Rogers podcast coming soon to your RSS feed as well. So go ahead and sign up, patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. You'll also get Ben's marketing and life coach lessons, as well as DCW, Derby City W watch-alongs. You'll enjoy a litany of content there. You can also go to ProWrestlingTees.com/BenHamin/GreekGodPapadon/SEG search /Stevie Richards, BWO Stevie, and of course, superstar Chris Silvio here. Don't forget to check out, as you can see right there on the moniker, patreon.com/Stevie Ray TV. Coming up tonight, come back to Twitch. They are open for him because he's a 10-time Hall of Famer. So come back there tonight, twitch.tv/Stevie Ray TV, as he is going to be debating, the moderator, if you will, Steve Wilco style, between Sami Callihan and Eddie Edwards. So check that out tonight. And then, of course, if you're a Patreon member, you'll get that in podcast format tomorrow. I'll have that up for you. Last thing, check out Check My Balls, South Park Review. Brand new episode's up right now. Suck My Balls episode number 58. Chef goes nanners, as he does not like the flag, and he wants to change the flag. So if you remember, still pertinent to this day. So go check out brand new episode of Suck My Balls. I'm Matthew Schaffer, your host on the Scene of the Air is Clean and Lighten Up Green. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Matthew_Schaffer.
Excellent work, MSG. We'll see what this producer's court yields here, Sil. We may need your attorney at law skills here just to advise pro bono. But speaking of doing a little bono later, I know you are doing Friends with Benedict's. What else is going on over there with you, the lovely Jenna Van Muscles, man?
Yeah, man, we're rolling over here. We're getting ready to launch a new beginners class here. Nice. Once again, Sai Dojo and Superstar Training Systems are joining forces. So we look forward to having some information out on that. If you're looking to start wrestling on the right foot with, good instruction and a legit path to a career, I encourage you to follow along with us and consider joining our program. I've got some changes I'm making to my classes and my online classes. I've been keeping the groups very, very contained right now due to COVID and workload stuff. So I do have a few openings here and there. If you need training on an individual basis or team basis, hit me up. I'll see what I can work out for you. I am going to be doing a bit more podcasting here, hopefully in the coming weeks. I'll give you guys some more information on that as it comes about. I got some people hopefully that are going to help me to get a little bit more out there and give you guys a little bit more Silvio. But in the meantime, check out Genocide on Pro Wrestling Tees at Genocide 000 on Instagram and Twitter. She's facing Holodead February 6th, Mission Pro Wrestling. It's going to be one of the best women's matches to come along so far in 2021. That'll be on Title Match Wrestling Network, Genocide versus Holodead. Don't miss that shit. You want to check that out. So stop by our Pro Wrestling Tee stores. I got one too. If you want to show brother a little love, go for it. If not, that's cool too.
Also, quick.
Brother, go.
I'll do a quick plug since you mentioned Holodead. You should check out the Where Has Wrestling Taken Us podcast with my buddy Ethan HD. He's a wrestler I did my final project with out of Seattle, Washington. He just had Holodead on, so check that out. It's a good interview and podcast with a couple different wrestlers. She's
just on camera licking knives for an hour straight. That's what she does.
Yeah, there you go. So go check
that out. Who's
anyway.
going to win that match, Genocide or Holodead?
Genocide. This is like the feud, Genocide.
I agree.
I love Jenna, but I've worked a lot of shows with Holodead, and I know she's a bad motherfucker, dude. So it's gonna be, who's gonna win? The fans on that one, bro, all the way around. Like, talk about they could be tag team together and be incredible, or they can tear it down here, man. With I don't know what Holodead's been training. I just know she likes knives and she's crazy as fuck. I have seen Genocide training this Muay Thai, and I'm super impressed with her style and the amount of shape she's been getting in wrestling wise. I don't think Holodead has the outlet like Sai Dojo to be in the ring as much. I could be wrong. So maybe game wise, Jenna's a little bit more over prepared. But deep down, psycho wise, I don't know if she can match Holodead on that level. So it'll be it depends whose mindset's up, I think.
You weren't at our house last night.
Okay. All right. Well, you might have fucking wore her out. Now you took all the best match right out of her. So, but it's going to be an awesome one, man. Two great girls. People were saying I miss Crossfire Wrestling in Canada. That's where I worked with Holodead plenty in Congo Kong up there. Great fed. So hopefully maybe we'll get back to business this spring, but I doubt it. But in the meantime, you know where to keep it locked, you guys. Hamin Media Group, hackerhamin.podbean.com. It's Big Silvio and the man, MSG, Producer of the Year elect. And it's me, Hacker Hamin, the heater stooge of them all, infidels taking mad calls, kicking you in the balls here as we light the fuse. Yalla!